Okay, Larry, I'm going to ask you if this is, well, start recording.
I already started.
Right. If this young lady is not the,
Oh, really? You
Please,
had to
thank
put
you.
this, right? You
Then-
fucking cock.
then what was it? Are you sure you got the right young lady? That's
But there are
it's
actually 4
disappointing.
things in the world that I care about more than anything else. And that is power, control, attention, and affection.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the
Oh,
4 things I am truly motivated by as a person. And
That she said that. Let's get into this because otherwise I'm going to say everything I want to say and I'm going to take away everything from Madeline. See, got it. Not Maddie, Madeline. And the medicine they got me on is, you ever see Me, Myself, and Irene
Oh, yeah.
when he has dry mouth?
You got cotton mouth like,
I know about cotton mouth.
Yeah.
okay, is that,
It is
brutal.
is that meth cotton mouth?
No.
That's the worst one.
Oh, yeah.
That's the.
Did you,
you know,
is that part of your story?
Oh, yeah.
Shh. This is going to be a good day.
I'm going to tell you right now, this lady's got a story that'll rock your world. You know what? To hear your 4-step had to be brutal.
What I tell my sponsees is I say, look, you won the lottery with me as your sponsor. There's nothing that you got to feel weird about telling me. We got some strange stuff in here, and they appreciate that. So
My chicken died.
Oh my God, Rob.
Your what?
My chicken
Your
died.
his chicken died.
Yes.
Abigail was her name.
You know what? I can tell you right now, you've been my sponsor. Well, no longer. Been my sponsor for 4 years.
Yeah.
And you've never changed the name of that chicken. So I'm kind of worried about you that's actually true.
Abigail was her name.
Abigail is dead.
She died.
We have to take this seriously.
Yeah.
We do.
You know, on my road to sobriety, lives had to be lost. Abigail was one of them.
Abigail was one of them.
Yeah.
Who's going to pray us in? All right. I'll take care of it. What? Madeline? You want to pray?
I would love to.
Absolutely. Love it even better.
Can we do the 3rd step prayer, or do you guys have?
You go right ahead. It's right there in case you forget it.
No, it's not good. God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always.
Amen.
Amen.
Let's go to work.
You notice Bill obviously read the King James Version of the Bible, so all the prayers he put in are still in the Old English.
Madeline, does that upset you that I took the thee and the thous out?
Oh, I didn't look at it, so I don't know. I didn't notice.
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't. It was
It
hard
says
for.
it's in our own words. They say,
Right.
however you need to
Right.
word it.
I
for yourself.
couldn't remember it until I got that. Till I
The only thing I disagree with is right after the next sentence Bill put after that is that we thought well before taking the step. You should have put that before you take that step.
Yeah. Anyways, I changed up the intro a little bit. I got to fix that all together. Welcome back, Robert.
That's it. That's all we're doing for the intro.
That's it.
Rob Don.
Rob,
That's
there's
it.
no toilet.
Rob, Don. We
No
can do it
shit
if you
saying.
want.
Sit on the toilet, don't you? It's your meditation.
We can do whatever you want.
No, we're good.
I got it all.
Let's get into Madeline.
No, I want to catch up with you first. I want to catch
You
up
had
with
surgery?
you. Okay, then yes, I
By
did.
the way, everybody, turn me up. I can't. I sound like shit.
You want me to turn you on?
No, I'm good.
There you go.
Hey, do that again. That's all.
No.
See, you heard that? That was our guest. That was not me, buddy.
I did it. I'm the culprit.
That's fine. So what?
Oh,
Yeah,
all
surgery.
yeah, surgery. You're done. So now we don't have to. We're
Oh,
good.
I don't know. I'm still trying to get over it.
No,
It's about
we're
12
not.
days.
I don't know.
Katie
We're done.
will find a new husband if I have to have surgery ever again.
We've already got one picked out for
We're
too.
done.
That was number 24. Who you got? Anybody special?
Ah, you don't know him.
Damn it. I want to know. I want him to be rich.
Oh, he's rich.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I want him to be rich.
He's rich. He's about 89 years old. He's got stage 4 cancer.
Perfect.
He's got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot on a banana peel.
Hell, I'll just divorce her now.
Yeah, you're good. He'll be gone in a minute. That's not right.
So welcome back. We are here. Yes, 2 surgeries down, 2 surgeries over, back to back.
Are you loud?
29th.
Are we loud?
Are you loud?
He's always loud.
I'm deaf.
I'm always
I'm
loud.
deaf. That's loud
I'm
for me.
always
Even I'm
loud.
for me. Hey, Madeline,
What?
Look at that.
Good grief.
You
You know what?
Go ahead.
So yes, this lady here, hold on.
But there are actually 4 things in the world that I care about more than anything else. And that is power, control, attention, and affection. Those are the 4 things I am truly motivated by as a person and as an alcoholic.
So when I was in Canada, when we went to the conference, I kind of already told the story that I was struggling because every time I'd get into a room, there wasn't big enough, right? The room wasn't big enough for so
Or you
I
didn't
tried
get
to
there in
right,
time.
and I was like, man, I'm just so This one was the number one. Resentment, I think, was the name of it. And I tried to. So I got there early. I was like, it was the first one of the day. I got there early. I was sitting up front. Actually, no, I sat all the way back because Jason and I was holding seats for Jason and a big table, right? And the first guy, the MC guy, came on, and then the first one came on. I kind of still was not really into it. And then this lady right here come walking on the stage. Holy cow! You lit me all up. I'm like, wherever she's from, and then because you said that you had come in here for holiday, right, from New York, and I'm like, I got it. So I stood up there at the stage, and I was stalking you. I was like, I'm just gonna stay here. She's gonna think I'm a creeper, but I ain't leave it until I ask. So I waited till everybody was gone, and I gave her a hug. I said, I got a podcast. Can we talk? And she said, yes. You poor thing. You didn't know what you're getting into, did you?
It's great. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So I am stoked to have you come in here. It's we've talked about you on here multiple times, haven't we, Rob?
Yeah. But he would say that there was that clip.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Do you really?
There was that clip.
Is that you?
Yeah.
Today.
And then he would say, well, you shared it at the fucking meeting yesterday. I shared it yesterday meeting, and you shared this.
And I was wrong.
That you'd start
Robert,
your day with,
I was wrong.
She started her day with thank you and ended the day with, started with please. It ended with thank you, which is great.
Lots of people do that. It just was somebody else's story, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's Madeline's as far as I'm concerned. I'm leaving it right there.
Good. We can have our whole mythology.
I'm sure she says please in the morning sometime and thank you in the evening, so it kind of works out.
And we got Katie, my beautiful wife, that's going to sit in with us again today.
And surgery went well.
Yes.
And the doctor said that his previous surgery, Madeline, the doctor did was fine too, except he wouldn't quit chewing tobacco, so his bones didn't fuse. It didn't work. So he was, all the pain and shit that he was in, not all of it, but a lot of it, he was his own cause. Kind of like alcoholism.
Yeah. Well, that is alcoholism.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Straight up.
Just do some goddamn 4-step. Sorry, Lord.
All right, let's go back to Madeline.
Go back to Madeline.
Are you done picking on me now?
I love you.
No, I love you too, a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I introduced my wife.
Hi, Katie.
Yeah, and then you just stepped all over her. How dare you? How dare you step on my wife?
I got our rich husband coming, so he'd be all right. Oh, man.
So yeah, we got Madeline in here. So Madeline, let's go. Let's go to work.
From the Bay Area / New York.
Yes. Via New York. I'll let her tell her story, Rob.
Okay, go ahead.
Just tell my story, or
Rob and I will probably
point?
Rob and I will probably come in and out asking questions a little bit.
When you get into the methamphetamine part, I'll start asking questions.
Okay, sure.
This guy is a meth head.
He is excited.
Yeah.
Well, because we get a lot of alcoholics on, and I am. Jack Daniels is what did it in for me. However, there was a great time in my life where I balance. I try to have balance,
Mm-hmm.
Get a little.
I know about that balance.
Get a little too much. Drink some Jack Daniels. Get a little too far this way.
Do you reminisce like he does though over those times? Because I think he loves it.
It's interesting to talk about. They were
some of the
interesting
stuff
times.
that we did. Yeah,
They were interesting times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my story definitely begins with beginning to be conscious.
Right.
Like that's as my alcoholism goes. Well, I wasn't an alcoholic then, but I was dying of self from like my first memories. I had a lot of fear constantly. And then I had a crippling obsession with what I wanted, how I felt, what other people thought about me. And that's as far back as I can remember. That was like all that I thought about. And I was always looking for ways to calm down. And when I was like 3 years old, I came up with a really good one where I would tense my muscles really, really hard in this very weird little position. So weird that like my babysitter when I was that age, like brought it to the attention of my parents, was like, are you guys good with this? Is she good? Like, do we need to do something about this? They brought me to the doctor and the doctor was like, she's fine. And the way that it looked, my parents were just like, don't do that in public. And I was like, cool, I won't do it in front of you. And then I just kept doing it. And I did that so much that even today, I'm 31, this started when I was 3. I have that musculatory system in my body does not function properly.
When you go to sleep at night, do you feel yourself doing that as well?
It's more that the pain and the like structural quality that it created is with me all the time.
Right.
So it's like even when I'm sleeping, when I'm dreaming, like I still have it. I'm still in pain. That pain never goes away.
I don't. When you said that, because I get that way. Not that I ball everything up, but I can feel myself at night. Just everything is tense, and it takes me a while to where I can feel that weight start to come off of me, because I do clench up and I am very tight. But obviously it's not the same thing.
No, I mean, it is the same thing. I just happen to have a slightly extreme version of it. And so I can just say it. I don't normally do this when I tell my story, but like we're all here. It's my pelvic floor muscles. So I was tensing my pelvic. Yeah, exactly.
Kegels.
So I was doing like a super Kegel all the time. Wow. And so it's my pelvic floor muscles that are broken. Like they are the ones that are non-functional. So I have what's called pelvic floor muscle non-relaxation dysfunction.
So they're always contracted.
Mm-hmm. So most people who have issues with their pelvic floor muscles have issue with like the weakness. Right. So they're too weak, and then
if they sneeze, if they cough, then they pee. Right. As you get older.
And that is very, very common. It's a very common issue to have in the pelvic floor muscles. And then there's another issue which is common, but it's not. The majority is the other way. Is too much tension, and so they are hypertonic. So mine are hypertonic. And so I started doing that when I was 3 because it felt good. I was like, ooh, I like this feeling. And I have alcoholism. And so I did it just constantly. I never wrote an essay. I never took a test. I never did anything where I wasn't in that position, clenching my pelvic floor muscles. And so the other memory, go for it.
So when you go to the bathroom, you have to relax that muscle.
Mm-hmm. It's very difficult.
So you must do that consciously. You have to
I have to consciously, well, it's even worse than that. Basically, I've had to pee since I was 15. So that feeling never cessates. Wow. I have a constant feeling of having to pee. And so I know enough now from having this condition my whole life. I know when I actually have to pee, but that feeling never goes away. Wow. So when I actually do have to pee, it's a very conscious process. And when I was getting loaded and my body was in absolute, just the worst state ever, what would happen is my muscles would fully lock in place. And so I'd be completely distended. Like my bladder would be completely full. Like you could see it through my stomach and I would not be able to relax.
To pee.
I couldn't do it. Right. I'd have to use catheters. I'd have to wait. Like it was crazy what I used to have to do. So that was
drunk and loaded.
Yeah. I was like, this is the way. Yeah.
Whatever it takes, man. Whatever it takes.
And I would have told you, like, when I went to the doctor, I'll do anything. I'll do anything to not be in pain. But really, I just wanted a pill. Right. Like, I didn't want to do anything about it. In my mind, I really believed this when I got, before I got sober. I've done everything. I've done everything that there is for my condition, and nothing works. No, I did nothing. And I continued getting loaded.
The insanity that we tell ourselves.
Absolutely.
Insanity that we tell ourselves. We're doing the same thing with the copenhagen.
We're the first person we lie to.
It's
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Then once I'm thoroughly convinced, I'm gonna lie to you.
Right.
Well, there's the part in the book where it says that another alcoholic can gain our confidence in just a few hours. In my experience, the paragraph before that says, we lied to our friends and family, and these highly competent psychiatrists, and it uses a funny little phrase where it's like, we found it difficult to discuss our situation without reserve, which is that cutesy little way of saying we're full of shit.
We lied.
And I asked my sponsees when I break that down, I said, do you want to know the number one reason why I didn't tell anyone the truth? I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the truth was. How could I tell anybody the truth? I had no idea what was going on. Mm-hmm. And that delusion is definitely very far back in my story. So started doing that with my pelvic floor muscles. It was very intense. So I was just really stressed out. And then my next memory of something that was really going to hearken to the future was that I would go to school and I would swear all day at school. I wasn't supposed to swear, you're not supposed to do that when you're in third grade or whatever. I was very inappropriately sexual. I was always swearing. I just had all of this behavior that would not be good if people found out. And just to be clear, I come from an extremely loving and supportive home. Very loving, very supportive, but there were rules. There were things that I was not supposed to do. It was not a free for all. There was a behavior that was appropriate and not appropriate. And I knew what that was. And I would go to school and I would be inappropriately sexual and I would swear all day. And then I would go home and I would die of fear that I was going to get in trouble. I would die. That fear was like white hot evil inside of me. It was the most painful thing. Like the tension, it was in my stomach. It was in my muscles. It was everywhere. But it never once occurred to me that I could just not
do the behavior,
swear and be sexually inappropriate all day, and then I wouldn't have to live in that fear. Never occurred to me. That was so beyond anything that I could conceptualize. And so it was just like, well, I guess this is just how I live.
Your mom was a priest too.
My mom is a priest. Yep.
Yep.
And she started that process when I was 7 years old. She had the calling from God when she was very young, when she was about 7 years old, but she was raised Catholic. So she didn't think that that was an option for her to be a priest, but she always wanted to be. And then she became Episcopalian before I was born, and she talked to some priests. And
Which
they
is
said,
Catholic light.
that is one. That is one way to
you're
describe
exactly
it.
right.
The
Yeah.
best
No
the
lie.
best way to describe it is that all of that, like, beautiful, like the vestments and the stained glass, all that aesthetic is the same with Episcopalians as with Catholics. However, their ideology is very different. The way they approach
But their
certain
rituals
things
are
identical.
yes.
Yeah,
The pomp
exactly.
and they have the pomp and pageantry.
Exactly,
of the
all of
Catholics.
that. But just
A little
some-
more dialed back.
some different ideology, yeah. And so when she talked to some other priests, they said, wait till your youngest is like in school.
Is that you?
I'm her youngest. Wait till your youngest is in school before you start this process. So she started that process, and then she got ordained when I was 12. And she had been stay at home with us that whole time before that, and then suddenly she was gone. I was like, wait, where's my mom? And I don't blame her for any of that, but it definitely caused some upheaval. And then the other thing that was happening is that I went through puberty when I was 7.
Ooh, wow.
Wow.
So that was another little complicated wrinkle. And no one knew that because you're not looking out
Right,
for that. So my
right.
mom left all of a sudden. I went through puberty and I was just like, cool, I have my whole own life now.
Hold on. Anyway, so have anybody made a connection? Did that have anything to do with what you started at 3 with the pelvic floor? Did that and puberty starting early? Is there a connection, or is it just happenstance?
So theoretically, there is a cause for both of those things, but I have no memory. So a lot of my behavior, particularly with the pelvic floor muscles, and then what's called precocious puberty, which is puberty before the normal time, both are signs of
Molestation?
being a molestation. Yeah, I
'Cause
have.
was.
Yep, and it's it happens. I don't know that it happened to me. I have no memory of it whatsoever, and I have a lot of different stuff that suggests that that's likely. However, I have no memory of it.
Awesome.
They could all be explained by other things.
Yeah.
Occam's razor suggests that that's probably what happened, but I have zero memory of anything like that. So
That is crazy.
You
How
know what Occam's razor is, by the way? Yeah, you do.
well,
the
Simplest
simplest explanation is
Right.
usually the correct one.
Yeah,
So they could all
correct.
be. So precocious puberty has
Right.
other causes. Being
Right.
hypersexual as a young person have
Right.
other causes. The thing I did with my pelvic floor muscle.
Because
Robert, that's twice already. Jesus, fuck. Gee, there she goes.
possibly have other causes.
gotta say that. Good.
But yeah, so that is likely
Okay.
what happened. But
That's kind of what I was thinking. That's why I asked.
yeah, totally. And so yeah, it was just me probably. Nobody to blame. I just got real strange real quick. And so yeah, I was being a little weirdo and being inappropriate all the time. And the other thing that happened is people just treated me like an adult my whole life because I presented like an adult. I was a young child and I spoke like an
Old
adult,
soul.
looked like an adult,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I just tricked people into treating me like an adult my whole life. And then I never developed any skills to like develop normally or talk to other kids. And so I just got real strange. And so by the time I was about 13 or 14, I think 13, I was inappropriately sexual all the time, constantly in fear of getting in trouble, constantly in fear of people being mad at me, not doing anything about that though, in a lot of physical pain. The pain was rising, but I had no language for it. I didn't really know what was happening. I just was physically in pain. And I was so cripplingly obsessed with what I wanted, how I felt, what other people thought about me, that I was just not functioning.
Mm.
And
With everything you were doing, did your mom not like pick up on that? I think that's why I was asking about the priest. And
yeah,
so
no,
she was
they-
trying.
they did. I got kicked
Okay.
out of school for the first time when I was 11
4.
for bringing naked photos of myself on a camera and showing them to all my friends. And I look good. That was the thing, is I was like, everybody needs to see this. And my I don't know what they were
It's
thinking.
pretty
They
sad.
bring me a
It's
camera.
pretty, yeah. Normally the boyfriend brings the pictures and shows all of his buddies,
No, it was me.
right? And then she brought her own.
Nope, I didn't see. So I showed everybody, and they asked me to not come to that school. Because the thing is, my parents were like, oh, public school must be the problem.
Right.
So I went to public school in Orinda, California, and they were like, that must be the issue. We'll send her to a private school in Oakland. And I lasted 6 months there before they kicked me out. So they're like, okay, maybe it's her.
How many schools did you go through?
Just a couple. That was
Okay.
the only one. but that was the only one that I like diverted out to. I was allowed to stay in school for the rest of the time. And so, yeah, my parents knew that something was wrong. They were, like I said, very loving and supportive, very attentive to me, trying to help me work through that. My mom also has alcoholism. Hers did not present with alcohol until she was much older. Like her and I didn't even have a relationship at the time. Mostly hers presented through rage and resentment when I was young, and fear. She was very motivated by fear. She was terrified that I was not going to have a loving, happy life. And so she did a lot of interventions that she thought would be helpful to correct my behavior that just made me hide everything from her. So, yes, my parents were attentive to me. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And I was very belligerent and refused to receive any help. I mean, I would be like, oh, yeah, I'm going to therapy and I'm doing this. But inwardly, I wasn't willing to.
You were putting no actions into it.
I wasn't willing to change anything or work on anything. The chemical hit that I got from power, control, attention, and affection was so potent from such a young age that nothing else mattered to me. And I got that from a young age from sex. And then I noticed that my mom got that from religion. And we'll pick that thread up in a minute.
So when did you first become sexually active?
It depends on how you define that. I mean, when I was 3 years old, I was sexually active with other children. And then when I was 12, I had everything but sex with a 16-year-old. And that I sought out. Like, that's the thing is, of course there's inappropriate behavior on his part 100%, but I absolutely manipulated in a sophisticated way to make that happen because that's what I wanted more than anything.
Okay.
And then
you were also more advanced as, you weren't necessarily a normal 12-year-old either if you were already through puberty or,
exactly. So it made
really,
things complicated there. Right. And then, I had sex for the first time when I was 13 and then I was having sex with adults by the time I was 14. And so, I was 13 years old. All of this was so intense and all I wanted was relief. I just wanted to feel okay. I was very interested in being an adult. So the idea of drugs and alcohol had always appealed to me, but I didn't really know how to get them. And then I smoked weed for the first time. I had, this is such a funny part of my story. I tried to do drugs several times and never got anything out of it. When you smoke weed for the first time, maybe it doesn't work because you don't know how to do it. I did that a couple times, didn't really feel anything. I'm from the Bay Area, so I did a Thiz pill. I popped an ecstasy pill when I was 13. It didn't really do anything. Mac Dre appeared to me in my iPod, but that was it. And then I actually got high for the first time when I was about 13 years old. And it was the greatest thing that had ever happened to me.
On?
Weed.
Okay.
It was the greatest thing that had ever happened. I was like, this is amazing.
Total relief.
Wow.
This is incredible because I just felt all that relief. Right. I really had no idea how much pain I was in until the pain was gone.
And that's something.
And I was just like, this is it. And I mean, literally, I was thinking this to myself at the time, I'm just doing this now. I don't care if I die. I don't care what happens. This is it. And
we start chasing.
Mm-hmm. And I grew up in an area with a lot of access with a lot of drugs. And so I did opioids for the first time when I was a freshman in high school. And then I was like, oh, yeah.
In the form of?
It was Vicodin, I think. Okay. It was the first one.
Did you smoke it or just take it?
Just took it.
What was the?
I started smoking OxyContin at that same time, just a few months later, but just the first one that I did.
And that time period was that Vicodin and that stuff was getting extremely popular inside the high schools.
This was right before the drought, is what we call it. So this was right before the drought.
What year ballpark?
What year? Oh, this was 2008, 2009, right before the drought. And so, other kids were smoking OxyContin, and I was like, that sounds awesome. I did not have, there was zero thought of oh, that's I don't want to do that. I'll never do that. Never did I think to myself, I won't do that. I don't want to do that. It was just where is it?
Right.
Someone teach me how to do it. I couldn't light a lighter. I have some sensory and spatial issues. And so I couldn't light a lighter for myself. So it's just I just need someone else to do it. That was my only limitation in this world. And my best friend at the time her family was from Jamaica, so they were Rastafarian. Her dad grew weed, had a bunch of weed, so we always had access to weed. We had no problem with that. And I mean, we're in the Bay Area of California. There was always weed. But
among other things.
Yeah, but I loved harder drugs. I loved pills. I was like, this is it, because with weed it smells, and there's always that concern.
But it's also, for me, it's down. I don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Oh, I do. I really do.
I want to go.
See, Madeline and I are the same way. I wanted to go off, right? Because I was so hyper. So that's why I asked Madeline that question, is because I'm that same way. I'm like this all the time.
I want that
my teeth are just bound together. And I've found through AA how to relieve that, right? That's where my serenity comes in. I've found that through AA. Right? No, I don't show my muscles.
I was going to say, you gotta get
no,
it.
I don't.
One.
So that's why I was asking you, because I've never heard anybody explain it the way you did. Right. And for me, that's what I was going. I needed that. And I was never a weed smoker, because weed smoker would make me feel like I can't control anything. Mm-hmm. So I hated that. I wouldn't drink I would not ever drink. If I was losing feelings of my legs and stuff, I'd stop drinking, right? I was just drunk 24 hours a day. But the way you talk about it, that you just wanted that relief, that's exactly what I was. And that's why I asked you that question, because and I'm still that way. When I lay down in bed, sometimes I'm kind of doing my 10 step and I'm walking through those stuff, and I can find myself trying to relax, and I can just feel myself, as you relieve, you can kind of feel everything start to relax. So I still really get that way. And that's why we settle it now by doing our prayers and doing our third step prayers. And for me, it's a serenity prayer like 4 or 5 times. It gets me through that. So that's why I was asking that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the most insane part of my story, and I normally don't have time to get into this, like when I share in a meeting or whatever, but I'm going to give it to you guys. And I have to preface it always by saying, I know how insane this sounds. I know how crazy it is, but it just is. Like, it is that crazy.
My chicken died.
Abigail.
So talk to me.
You're right. Abigail herself.
Yes.
So you guys will understand. Well, here's what happened. So, like I said, the thing I am most motivated by in the world, the 4 things I care about more than anything, and I care more about getting loaded than I care about my friends, family, physical safety, health, and well-being. But these 4 things are the things that I care about more than anything else, and it's power, control, attention, and affection. I love that shit.
Yep.
And I noticed from a young age that I could get that from sex, and I watched my mom get that from religion. And I was like, what if we combine those things?
Oh,
and basically what happened when I was 15 years old is I looked at the facts of my life, and I said, there is only one explanation for all of this. And it is that I am Aphrodite's chosen mortal on earth, and that it's her divine mission for me to usher in a sexual revolution of healing.
I did not see, when you talked about religion, I did not see Greco-Roman.
Yeah. No, I got
weird coming into this.
I got weird with it.
Hey, that's a stretch. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, I got weird with it. So I was like, that's it. And I believed that. I both knew I was full of shit and completely believed that sincerely at the same time. And only alcoholics will understand how that's true. But
very true.
That was what it was. Like, I was like, this is it. This is the truth. This is what it is. And so I started that religion when I was 15.
But I'm sure you had a lot of fucking followers.
I did. Yeah. No, people were into it. And they were into it. And yeah, so that's what high school was like for me. I had my little religion, and then
had your little cult going.
Had my little cult going, and then
awesome.
I had.
How accepting was your mother of that?
She didn't know anything. Oh my god,
this shit's hidden. This shit's hidden.
No, I'm not saying anything like that to my mom. They knew I was into the Greco-Roman stuff. They knew that I was into that, but like the idea that it was my religion, I never told my parents anything. They did not know anything about what was going on in my life, to the extent that, so I knew that I needed to get loaded all the time. It became a 24-hour-a-day thing. And so I was always strategizing about how to make that happen. And I met another person who got loaded like I did, and she had a really difficult home life. She had really difficult things happening in her home, and she was living in her car. She went to school with me, but she was living in her car because that situation was not good. And so I moved her into my house. Well, I started dating her first, and then I moved her into my house with my family. And my parents did not know that we were dating, and they did not know that we were getting loaded. And
they just thought she was a friend.
Yeah, that needed help.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, like I said, I come from a very loving and supportive home, and so they wanted to help with that. And the real crazy thing is that I remember this conversation. I would say sat her down. I didn't sit her down. We were in the car, and I said, look, I need to be loaded 24 hours a day. The things that you want from me, I will give to you on that basis. You need to keep this coming all the time. Whatever I need, you need to make that happen. Because I had no hustle. I was just not, that's just not part of my life, part of my story. But I have these, we'll say, certain set of skills that people really appreciate about me. And I can lay that shit down. And I said, you can have access to that. You give me access to what I need. And if it stops, it stops. And that's it.
But that's no different than what I would get.
Yeah.
I had hustle, but I would get what I needed in the house. I needed it.
You just make it happen. Yeah. And so that was the basis of our thing. And I was a horrific partner in every way. She had a lot of trauma, and I compounded it at every single turn. On purpose, not on purpose, I mean, I wasn't maliciously trying to harm her, but like I knew
you were using that against her.
I knew the impacts of what I was doing, for my own gratification or for my own strategic benefit. I was physically abusive with her. I was emotionally abusive with her, spiritually abusive with her. Anything you can imagine. I was, like I said, a horrific partner. The things that I did to her were absolutely despicable. And this is somebody who had already absolutely been through enough.
Wow.
And that was the basis of that. And she came to me at one point. So things had gotten bad with the pills. So basically the drought hit. And for anybody who doesn't know what the drought is, that's when they were like, oh, OxyContin's bad and we should stop prescribing it to everybody. And they started kind of investigating and looking into that. And suddenly doctors were just pulling it. They were just restricting. They were just pulling. You really just couldn't get it anymore. And that filtered down to those of us who were recreationally doing it.
And that's what a lot of people just turned to black tar heroin. They just turned to the real deal.
Sure, turned to all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever to get the high.
She sat me down and she was like, you are dying. Because I was. It was over. Her main thing was always weed. So she maintained always better than I did. And she liked to drink sometimes. I never drank. And so she liked to drink. And so she could make her stuff happen more easily than me. Like I needed the pills. I do whatever except for alcohol. But that was always my preference, was to have the pain pills. And so she was like, look, you're dying. I can't get this for you anymore. Would you be willing to switch if I could find you something? And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I just need something.
Be high.
I just makes me feel this way. I literally don't care what it is at all. And she found Kratom. That was something that was just kind of coming on the scene.
It's legal.
And there was a store in Berkeley that had kind of just brought it over. And so I took the first dose of that. She got it for us. I took the first dose of it, and it felt like half a Vicodin. And I was like, all right, boogie, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Let's go. I was like, that's fine. And then I was shortly taking 90 grams of that every day for the next 8 years.
Fuck.
And
you can buy that in any store almost right now.
Yeah. It was a little harder to get at the time, but we made it work.
Right.
We bought it online.
Right.
And we just buy it by the kilo. A kilo lasted us probably a month. And so we just bought a kilo of it a month. And oh God, the worst was when we had to go on vacation though. Like when my parents would take us on trips, we'd be packing that shit.
Trying to play, just like we were just drinking. Yep. Do I have enough?
All right.
It was, that was a complicated.
Then you rationalize it. You ration it, when you get closer to the end.
Yeah. And I couldn't ration. So we had some trouble there. And doing that, and I mean, my digestive system was so wrecked. 90 grams of powder every day was so wild. I don't know how, I don't know.
That seems like a lot.
I don't know how much to get into it, but it was non-functional. And that just, that life became the only normal one because I did it every day, not being able to shit, not being, not having function. Like it was just.
Oh, I forgot all about that. The opioids. Yeah. Constipation.
That's just what I did every day.
I was going through cancer. That was
right.
Tough.
Yep. So I just did that every day. It was very normal.
For 8 years.
The next 8 years. Yep. And so I graduated high school. Everybody at the school that I went to college. Like, it just wasn't a question whether you were going to go to college. It was just where you were going to go to college. That's just where I grew up. And so I was not equipped to live on my own. I was just on a deep level aware that my life was unmanageable by me. I didn't have the language for that, but I absolutely knew that. That's why I had always brought other people in. I'm like, you need to do these things. I don't know how to do
You're my
these
manager.
things. Exactly. I don't know how to do it. I need you to do it.
Do this for me and I'll do that for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was my get down forever. So I never learned how to do anything that was difficult for me. That's the story of my life, is that I have enough like natural talent, whatever, with certain things that I would just ride off that. Anything that was difficult, I just shut it down. Wouldn't even look at it, wouldn't engage with it, nothing. And so I graduated high school. I went to University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington, because I did not want to leave the West Coast. And I did not want to participate in the whole getting into college thing. So I just went to a school with an 80% acceptance rate and got in early decision. This is how it is. And I went there and broke up with my girlfriend. I brought a boyfriend into the mix at some point as well, and got rid of both of them. I was very abusive and manipulative and horrible to him as well. And he was a very sick person, and I really preyed on that. And
they're easy prey.
And they like
sick
me.
People hurt sick people.
They like me. That's for sure.
Right.
And because I'm sick, and I make it fun. So yeah, no, I was no fun actually. And so there was a moment where I was like, "Can you try to find heroin for me?" He's like, "Yeah." He tried to find it, but we didn't know how to do it.
Right.
It's a logistical thing.
It doesn't come with instructions.
You gotta have it all, and so that didn't end up working out. So I just kept doing kratom. And so I got to college, and it was this kind of perfect storm of, I'm a high priestess of Aphrodite, first of all. Second of all, and I need to get this religion going. Like, I need to spread the word.
You need to start making money.
This message. And I need some money.
Right.
Because I no longer have anybody dealing with this part for me. My girlfriend was still, my ex-girlfriend, she was still doing that for me. She still lived with my parents. So it was like a very entrenched situation. So she was still helping me with that, but that wasn't sustainable.
Did your parents ever figure out that you guys were more than friends?
Oh, she told them everything after a little while.
After you left?
Yeah. I was not cool about that. And so she wasn't going to help with that forever. So it's like, also, the other big thing that happened was I was in college, and you have to run your own life there.
Yes.
You know,
you're on your own.
I had lived in a very highly structured environment. Like, my parents provided a lot of structure. High school was very structured. Everything was very structured, and I really thrive on structure. And so then it was taken away, and I was like, wait, I can't do this. I can't live like this. And you know who will manage your life for you? A pimp. And so that was it was just,
manager.
Everything pointed towards that, where I was going to spread my religion this way. I was going to make money this way. It all sounded great. And then I refused to do research or find anything out, because I'm so convinced that I know everything already.
It'll work itself out.
I'm that way.
Let's just go. It'll work itself out.
I just refuse to look into anything. And there are a ton of resources, like online and with others, ways to find out how to do sex work properly. And I just refused to do any of that. And so I was just like on dating sites, just trying to get people to give me money. And I did not meet anybody who wanted to give me money, but I did meet a pimp. And he was like, I'm not going to give you any money, but I'll show you how to make it. And I was like, oh, perfect. Thank God. I was like, my prayers are answered. And I left school very shortly thereafter, because it was very difficult to do that and school at the same time. Zero consideration for my family. I left in the middle of the second semester. My dad was like, can you please just finish the semester? I was like, no.
What did you tell him?
I would say,
did you just leave school?
Yeah.
Oh, I said, I'm living with this guy now.
When I was in the Navy, I got from my first station was Bremerton, Washington, Puget Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Right there.
Right there.
Right. Miserable.
I just told them I was leaving. I said, I'm leaving school. I'm living with this guy, and that's what's happening. And they were like, my parents were having difficulties of their own in their marriage. And then it came down to this fight of my mom was like, we have to go get her. We have to make her come back and not do what she's doing. And my dad says, she's 19 years old. She's an adult.
Yep. Good for him.
And boom, that was it for their marriage. And that was it for my relationship with my mom. Because if you aren't going to, if you're going to try to stop me from doing what I'm doing, you're out. I don't want anything to do with that. So her and I did not have a relationship from that point. And my dad and I remained very close. My mom is a phenomenal woman, but my dad's like a saint. He was just cool about it. He respects other people's autonomy. And
I'm sure he worried like a motherfucker.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
He just
dad.
knows that it's not his business to control his kid's life. He said,
He's just going to make it worse.
If you ever need help, if you ever need anything. Also, he fundamentally believes in the autonomy of other people. It's not just like a strategic thing. Like he just is a person who philosophically believes like it's not my business to intervene in somebody else's life. They need to follow their own path.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, it was just clear, if you ever need help, if you ever need anything, I am here. I will help you, but go do your thing. And I did. I certainly did. And I absolutely loved sex work. I loved it.
What part? Because we
Everything.
we had Stephanie on.
We've had a couple that been on here that had the same.
But the great home life.
Mm-hmm. Great home life.
And the pimp they would use that against her. I mean, it was not that. So go ahead.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, power, control, attention, and affection.
Right.
No doubt about it.
It is the greatest way to get all four of those things that I've come up with yet. I mean, I combined money, sex, and religion, the three most potent, ways to get that. And I just put them all together, and I was like, and I just rocked with it. My pimp he had a 4-year-old daughter, and she's the sweetest little angel in the whole world. And he was a sick person. He was not an alcoholic. He is not an alcoholic. He's just a normal type of weirdo. And yeah, we were in more of like a relationship. As far as that goes, there's like a very wide spectrum of what types of relationships hoes and their pimps have. And we had a more like classic kind of boyfriend girlfriend relationship, but that was also an aspect of it. But I mean, like we were a family, we had his daughter and all that. And
it gave you a place to live too, right? I mean,
I was making the money, but yeah.
Okay.
Gave me, funded by me, but yeah. He had no revenue stream of his own. So he had been in prison for 6 years, and had gotten out, and prospects were not. He went to film school. He really wanted to make movies. And he had a hard time getting jobs. And when you go to prison, they will teach you how to do other types of jobs. Right. And so he became close with this pimp, and he taught him like how to do it. And then he met me, and I made some money.
Did you just go around the university handing out cards?
No, so I was on this. This is a complicated part of the story that doesn't really matter. But the person who knocked me, as it's called, cracked me, was different from him. They had been cellies in prison, and the one dude had no idea how to the dude who knocked me had no idea how to like use a computer because he had been in prison for the last like 16 years. And the dude that I ended up with, I'm purposefully not using names, but if it gets confusing, we can deal with that. The guy that I ended up with, he went to film school, so he knew photography and like all of that kind of stuff. And so they were like,
advertise.
Yeah, we'll just kind of do this together. And then the guy that I originally was knocked by, I was like, he's weird, and I ran off with the other dude,
with the daughter.
Yeah. And so then we were together from then on, but he wasn't involved in the getting me into it thing. But he had never done it before. I was like their first one, and I had never done it before, so we were just kind of
learning it together.
Right. And I was very clear from the jump, this is what I need. At the time it was just kratom, so it was pretty easy to deal with, where I was like, I need this, I need a kilo of this a month, and that's that. And he was like, okay, cost of doing business. And then it was always like I always needed more. I always needed something else. And so he would get like muscle relaxants here and there. I got super into muscle relaxants.
Like somas and stuff like that?
Yeah, Flexerol.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking right
now. Yeah. And
I'm doing.
I had been, you know, it's something that people with my condition are prescribed, but
it's funny.
Okay. I forgot that. Now I'm getting.
Yeah.
Listen to this. So on that same aspect, the pain pills don't do much for me, but the Flexerol is what gives me the pain relief.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it really does.
The pain I can deal with, right? But that when my tension and those everything gets so tight, those nerves around that incision area and stuff, that stuff gets inflamed. And Flexerol and the nerve medicine is the only thing that works. Pain medicine don't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he was physically abusive with me. And we had this pattern. Basically, I had no interest in controlling and managing the way that I got loaded. Zero whatsoever. I just wanted to be loaded all the time and every moment. Like I never thought about it. Like, oh, I should try to not be. No, that was all I wanted to do at all times. And I was good at my job and I worked. And then I was like, I want to do this. And so this is the pattern that we would fall in, is that his good idea, he had a great idea. He said, I'm going to lock it away in a lockbox. That was his plan. And so he got that lockbox, and you all know, I snuffled that key out like a truffle pig. I found that thing where it was. Like, whenever he'd go out, that's all I was doing, is I was just looking for the key. And so I would get into it, and
truffle pig.
And that's what happened, and he could see.
Yeah.
He could see what was missing, like there was no confusion about what had happened. And he would beat my ass. And here's the thing. Once he was violent with me, he felt fucking terrible. And I knew that. Right. I knew that he felt really guilty about it. I also wasn't a huge fan of it. But there was a part of me that was like, well, I was abusive to my girlfriend, so I probably...
I was asking that.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's kind of coming back on you.
Yeah, no, I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And his beautiful angel child who lived in the house with us, she also hated it, she didn't see it, but she knew, she could hear the voices, she could hear the screaming or whatever. And it would make her, it really scared her. And here's the thing is that once he hit me, then I had all the power.
Right.
And I knew how to use the way he felt bad about it against him so that I could get what I wanted. Right. And so that situation was very strategically advantageous to me. And so I would bring it about, I would instigate it
purposely.
I knew how to do it.
Right.
And the story of my life is that the first time something bad ever happened to me, I noticed that I got a lot of attention from it. I got a lot of power, control, attention, and affection from it. When bad things happen, people gave me what I wanted.
Right.
People, petted me and sympathized with me and all of that. And so for me, the best case scenario is that something bad is happening.
Right.
Or someone passes away.
Exactly.
That's
whatever it is.
You could work that for a while.
Yep. Being sexually assaulted, that was like, I would, and the thing is that was the best case scenario for me, is that something bad happened to me. And then I got to point to that and be like, this is happening.
Right.
Oh, I'm being abused, and I was, and that's horrible. I'm not taking that away from anybody else who was in, different circumstances or whatever, but I can just honestly say I rode that out to get whatever I could from it.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's how I did. That's how I got down.
Why waste a good opportunity?
Yeah.
Manipulated to get what we wanted.
Get something positive out of it.
Yeah. There is nothing sacred to me.
No.
There is nothing that I won't use or manipulate or use against someone. Or there's nothing. I do not care. I will say anything at any time. I will lie about things happening to me if I really have to. That was not my preference, but if I had to, absolutely. Also, the facts were so distorted in my mind anyway that it was like, oh yeah, that happened.
You believed all the shit coming out.
Happened, and it didn't. And so, yeah, I got down like that for a while. And this is when I noticed this very strange thing happening where I'd get a bottle of Xanax and I'd have 100 in the bottle. And I knew I knew that I was only getting it next month. They don't give it to you early.
No.
And I knew that. And I would get that bottle. And there was this magic little thing that happened when a bottle is full. Everybody knows that feeling. You got a full bottle. This thing is full. The possibilities are endless.
Let's go.
Let's boogie. And I like to boogie. And so for me, it's very easy to take 20. I don't even notice it. Right. You know, I'm small, whatever, but my body was used to it. I had gotten it so accustomed to it. There were two times I took my entire prescription in a day. There were 2 times where I took 100. And I know that I
lived through it.
Yeah. And I didn't even feel sick. Like, it wasn't even like, oh, maybe I should go to the hospital. I have no idea. It was just the tolerance of it. So I would I would take like 20. That was like pretty regular for me. And this like magic thing would happen in my mind where I knew, capital K knew, that I had a finite amount. I knew I only had 100. I knew it needed to last me all month. I knew that. And I also knew that at, 80 pounds, 90 pounds, whatever, I knew that 20, there's no getting past that point. There's no like, oh, this is like more fun now after 20. But every single time that thing would come in and it would tell me I needed another one. Mm-hmm. And that was the only thing that made sense. And so I would blast through my prescription. I really only had 2 modes, and that was taking 20 in a day to literally with the Xanax bars, ripping the 4 bars and trying to get those into pieces, trying to get like, once you rip it into 4, trying to get that into another 2. Like that was the only mode I had. I'm just like, so I was in basically a constant state of withdrawal. I was in a constant state of benzodiazepine withdrawal.
Benzo's hard too. God, that's a hard thing.
It's the same as alcohol. And so I was in that state all the time. And unfortunately, when your money comes from looking good, it's not a great, it's not a great
even your cameraman can't.
I did not.
There's so many miracles.
I did not look great towards the end there, or sometimes towards the middle. And it was kind of cyclical. Like I'd get really sick and then, I'd get the prescription and I would kind of bounce back, and it was just like back and forth. And then I hadn't seen my mom in a really long time. We were not doing great because at this point everything had come out, and she wasn't stoked about my cult or anything. But I wanted to see her. I wanted to visit her. She wanted to see me. So I went down for Mother's Day. And I was very nervous. And so, I don't know.
What year, what ballpark time?
God, great question. It would have been 2015.
Okay.
Or maybe 2016.
Okay.
And 2016, probably. And I was very nervous. I pre-gamed. We had cocaine for some reason. I like snorted some before
Not bad.
Before I got on the plane. Muscle relaxants, whatever it was, whatever it was. And then I got to the restaurant and I had a drink, and I never drank. I had 0 tolerance to alcohol because I didn't care for it. But this is the thing. This is alcoholism. So I'll tell the whole story of it. When I drink, because I have this chronic pain, my muscles go into free fall, basically. So, because alcohol is a dehydrant, it's a diuretic, and so it all of my muscles would just start spasming, and I would get super dehydrated, and it was super painful, and I hated how it felt. I hated how it tasted. I hated everything about it. If a substance did that to you, how many times do you think you can drink it? Just the one, right?
Yeah.
And
it depends on who you are.
But that's the whole thing. That's how, like, even though alcohol is not a huge part of my story, I consider myself to be a real alcoholic, because this thought would come and it would tell me I should have a drink. I had 0 defense against that thought. I could not call into my mind how bad everything. I couldn't. None of that mattered.
Even knowing what it was going to do.
I didn't think about any of that. And so I had that drink, and I literally face planted in the food. Chow mein up my nose.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
On one drink.
Mm-hmm.
Plus everything, nothing.
A mixture.
I'm sure there's a benzo in there too. And when you mix benzo and alcohol, it's a pretty quick situation. And so fell asleep in the food, and my mom flipped out. And she was like, you need to go to rehab. Rehab's for people who want to get sober. What on earth would I do there? You know, I'm not giving this up. Because I always had this thing. I had the golden excuse. It says, you know, some of their alibis seem quite plausible. You know, it's like, that's the thing. I had the best one anyone's ever had. I have chronic pain. That's why I'm doing painkillers. Right. It's really hard to argue with that, even though, you know, in light of the circumstances, it didn't really make much sense.
What about the cocaine and
Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. But I would always use that. I'd be like, I'm in so much pain. And so what happened is she called my dad, you know, down from Napa. They both like sat down and they were like, would you be willing to go to a pain rehabilitation center? So pain rehabs are for people who have chronic pain. They're not designed to get people sober. That's not what they're about. But they're definitely trained in getting people off of medications, because that's, you know, the goal when you're getting pain treatment is that you don't have to rely on the medication, that you actually get functionality in your body. And so I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, I'll go there. And it wasn't like an immediate thing. I was like, I'm not willing to go right now. But eventually, yeah. And so we kind of put that on the books for after my sister got married. And in the meantime of that,
here we
back
go.
up to Washington.
Yeah. Everything that I've described has happened in Washington. So we lived in Seattle.
No, but once you got done with meeting mom and dad, you went back.
Yeah. No, so I went back to Washington, and God, this is such a sad part of my story, but I accidentally butt dialed my dad while my pimp was beating my ass.
Oh shit.
No.
Is that odd or God?
That's God.
So he had there was nothing good that came out of that. But
it's never odd.
He had to hear that, unfortunately for him. And so he called the police, and the police came. And, you know, it's mandatory arrest. You're supposed to arrest someone. Right. And I was so belligerent with them that I was like, get off my property. Like, I owned the property. It's like, get off my property. I'm not going to be a complaining witness. Get the fuck out of here. Like,
I'm taking my beating like a woman.
Yeah, I'm like, this is what's happening. Get the fuck away from me. And they were like, okay. And then...
Did they take him?
No, they didn't. And I asked him, actually, him and I talked sometime. I asked him recently, I was like, what happened? Why didn't they arrest you? And he was like, well, because I thought they were going to arrest me because I was acting so crazy. And he was like, I had a bag in my hand. I had like a bag with clothes in it. And he was like, he told them, he's like, I'm trying to leave. Like, I'm trying to get out of here. I don't want to, like, I'm not continuing this.
I don't want to be around that.
I was already, and they were like, sure. You know, it made sense to them. Right. They were like, okay, we got it.
Yeah.
There's something going on here. And so, yeah, nobody got arrested, but my dad wanted me to leave, to live somewhere else. And so he got me these like residential stays in these hotels. You put a hoe up in on the
right.
Like, I'll tell you what's going to happen. You know? Just let it pit me out of that hotel. Right. That's, you know.
Don't need to go anywhere.
Next couple of days, that's kind of what that was about. But anyway, so I was in these like residential stay hotels, and I was at this one, and there was like this restaurant across the street. And I went to this restaurant because, you know, my pimp and I were fighting, and I was lonely. I wanted to be around people. And so I went to the bar. And again, the thought came to me that I should have some drinks. And I had some drinks.
Wanted to fit in.
I had
Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the
first drink. And I had none. And second or the third or the fourth. And, well, I mean, I probably only had 3 because I couldn't even drink more than 3. You know, I would be obliterated on 3 because I was also taking benzos. So, and I was small. Like, it was, and I had no tolerance to alcohol. So it was just...
cheap date.
That was it. 100%. That's what they say.
Until you had to send your money to the pimp. That wasn't cheap.
Well, yeah, I mean.
He's got a picture right now.
It depends on what you consider it. Appointments were expensive. Dates were cheap. So we, yeah, I think you asked me, you know, what I loved so much about sex work. And it's like, I really did. Like,
the power and then
I loved just the whole thing of it. Like, I loved that people were paying to see me. You know, wow. the sacrifice that comes from someone giving their money, like just that whole thing of it, I loved it. I was like, this is the best. Anyway, so I'm at this place, I'm drinking, my muscles collapse. I am freaking out. I'm in the toilet, like losing my mind. I go home. They're like trying to help me. I go home.
So does that mean everything just opened up?
No. No, I just, like, everything was locked up. Everything was bad. Like, collapsed isn't just, like, I was in so much pain. Everything was so bad. And I'm, like, trying to pee, can't pee. I go home, and the next day, or I go back to the hotel, and then the next day, I'm like, I should do that again. I went back to the exact same bar. I had the exact same drinks. But this time, they had seen what happened the night before. And they also thought I was soliciting, which this is the funniest part of the story. I was not a freestyler. I didn't pick people up in bars. I had my ads and stuff. But I was just so proud of my website and my new promo video that we had just shot that I was just showing people because I'm so full of ego. Like, I wasn't even trying to get any business. I was just like, look how hot I am. Like, look at this video at the bar. And so they were like, you need to leave. So I left, and they were trying to get a picture of me so that I couldn't come back. And I was like, this costs money. I was so belligerent. Finally, the cops came, and I got arrested for trespassing because I took one step towards the restaurant when the cop offered me a ride home. And he was like, you just walked in the direction of the restaurant. And he arrested me. And I went to jail. And I tried to fake a seizure, as you do. Because I was like, give me drugs. And they didn't. And then my pimp picked me up. And I was furious with him because all he had was kratom. And he didn't have any benzos. I was like, do you know what I've just been through? He was in prison for 6 years. And I was like, do you know what I've just been through? He's like, oh my God. And so, yeah, I got arrested, and they tried to get me to go to like an IOP or rehab in court. And I was like, I actually can't be sober medically. I have a medical condition that makes it so I can't be sober.
One of those,
right?
I was right. I didn't know that was how true that was. But and they were like, okay, can you get like a letter from a doctor that says that? And I was like, yeah, of course I can. I show back up to court.
Did you have a doctor as a client? Oh.
No, I had a psychiatrist who was prescribing me the benzos.
Okay.
Oh.
And I was like, yeah, I didn't get the letter yet. And they were like, okay, come back. And then I came back. I'm like, I don't have the letter yet. And then I went to pain rehab. And
down the bay?
So the pain rehab was actually in Florida. It was in Miami. And that's why I was willing to go. I was like, oh, they give you massages there. And it's Miami. Like, sure, we'll go there. So I went there in the midst of all this. And it took them months to get me off of the benzos. And they were trying to get me off the kratom with Percocet.
Really?
And they didn't have any system for it. They weren't a rehab.
Yeah, that was fairly new though.
They had but it's not a rehab. It's a pain rehab. Like they had they didn't have people coming in on that. They had no idea what they were dealing with.
Don't put you on anything, but
it was complicated. They had no idea what to do. And I didn't fully wean off the kratom. I did get off the benzos. I did not get off the kratom. It didn't spark anything back up with the pills or anything. It was just like, because they're just too hard to get. I like them, but whatever. I was into benzos at that point. I just kind of would like switch around. And I got fully off the benzos, but literally before I even went home, the day before I went home, I walked down to the pharmacy and asked if I had a refill on my last prescription. I didn't.
Oh, good.
But I was already like,
Johnson.
It was done. Like I was like, that's great that you guys just put all that, and my dad put all the money into all that. And I was like, that's great, but I have no interest in that. And so what did happen is my body recovered a lot. I was physically in a much better shape than I had been in years. So when I got home, literally immediately got pregnant. So I was pregnant with my pimp's kid, and it was a difficult situation. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I was the high priestess of a fertility goddess. I was like, this is something that needs to happen. And I wanted the child I was pregnant with. My pimp, for all his faults, we had been, we were a family. And I wanted that child. He had just invested 10 grand into a movie because he made movies. So he had just invested. So we were literally flat broke. We had nothing. It's difficult to make money in that condition. Not that you can't work when you're pregnant, but it's more complicated. And he had a child already that he was providing for. It was a complicated situation. And what happened is I had to look at, I didn't even think about getting sober. Didn't even occur to me. It wasn't even a thought, Because in my mind, I had just tried it. And I was like, well, that doesn't work. I'm not going to do that. So it was this question of, am I going to have a child? Knowing there's no way I'm going to stay sober for 9 months, I don't know, 18 years, because I would get loaded the whole pregnancy. It wasn't even a question. Or, I could terminate the pregnancy. And, I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm pregnant. And he said, I love you, support you, whatever you need. But have you heard of abortion? Can I interest you in anything? And again, he was very sweet and very supportive, but he was like, if you want that, we can do that.
How long were you in Florida?
3 months.
Okay. That's a minute.
And so that is what ended up happening. I did end up terminating the pregnancy. I really did not want to, but the other options on the table were not, everybody said, I'll support you, whatever you do, but no one was really making that path clear for having the child, as they should. I mean, I wasn't willing to get sober, so it wasn't really a thing. And I went.
Can I ask if does that come in? Maybe this is a bad question to ask, but does that come back into when you did your 4-step?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I guess what I'm asking
do you resent?
did you have resentments to that? To do an abortion?
I resented my pimp so much for that. And then the other thing was, so I blamed him. Right. I was like, this is all his fault.
Did you resent yourself for that?
No.
Okay.
I thought I was I've never resented myself for anything.
Not then. As you were doing your steps, as you're getting sober.
No, I've never resented myself for anything.
Wow. That's impressive.
I'm a narcissist. I have no capacity for that. I just don't have it. I have no negative self-talk, nothing. It's just pure and weird. Yeah, I got a different thing going on. And I thought I was a murderer and I felt terrible about it, but I didn't resent myself for it.
Gotcha.
And again, this tragedy has befallen me. A grave injustice has been done unto me.
Yeah.
I rode that shit. A series of unfortunate events transpired. I made a lot of poor decisions after that because I went insane. I had this client who wanted to take me to Vegas. And I had been to Vegas with him a couple times. And my pimp was like, this was like a month or 2 months later. Yeah, almost. Yeah, like less than a month, I think. And he was like, do not do that. This is not a good idea. Huh. You are not okay to do something like that. Not
emotionally ready to go.
Yeah, he's like, you're not good. I've already been back to work, but this was like a weekend trip, which was like, it's a different ball game. And he was like, do not do this. And I was like, fuck you. Do what I want.
Tell me I'm not.
As I really wanted to go because this dude they were doing drugs. He wasn't usually doing drugs, but he was with friends who had them and were doing them. And I was like, that's where I want to be. He was also really hot. And I liked being with him. And it was a disaster. You'll never guess. It was a disaster. I was extremely unprofessional. I did not perform well. I mean, in that sense I did, but in the general sense I did not. There was another chick there who was also an alcoholic. I mean, I don't know really whether she was, but she got loaded like I did. So we were just off doing that the whole time. And then he didn't pay me.
Oh, shit.
Which was not good. My pimp was not happy about that. I was not happy about that. And I won't get into all the crazy details of that, but that was not good. And then it's so funny to think about. But what happened is I was talking to my pimp. Again, we were in the car. I like to say I sat him down because it was like that kind of conversation, but whatever. We were in the car. And I was like, do you know what other girls my age are doing right now? Because I was like 22 or whatever. And I was like, they're partying. You never let me do anything. You never. And he was so done with my nonsense because he's sober through all this. Like, right. Or not sober, but I mean, like he didn't get loaded. So he's just watching all of this like, oh my God. And he handed me $500 and he was like, do whatever you want. And I called up the person that I was getting drugs from at the time, who I didn't know was primarily a meth dealer. And he was like, all I have is meth.
Come on.
And I said,
come on.
Fine.
You should take that back to Vegas.
I said, run it. And he brought that meth over.
Snort, shoot up, smoke.
Hot rail.
Hell yeah.
The first time I did meth, it was hot rail. Most of the meth I did was through a hot rail. So,
ouch.
No, that's good stuff.
And I just didn't even know the difference, like I had done meth before in the sense that I had done plenty of fizz, and fizz is mostly meth. So it's not like I had never
Right.
encountered that, but I had never actually done meth. And so I didn't really know the difference between hot railing it and not. Anyway, so that was a crazy night. And over the course,
So, okay, now,
Mhm.
this is like kratom, pot, some cocaine, benzos,
Mhm.
and then you get the meth high,
Mhm.
which is the best. Or, I mean, what did you?
This guy's a nut.
we like to come down.
Yeah, I like to go down.
I way prefer coming down, but it fit the moment. I was in absolute emotional free fall, and
But it does give you 10-foot tall and bulletproof.
it was fine.
Well,
It-
so for me, when I was doing cocaine and doing that kind of stuff, I wanted to party for a few days.
Oh yeah.
There was a reason why I was doing it, and I cut it out of my life like that, right? Because but the alcohol took me. The more I drank, the less this thing operated up here,
yeah.
right? And the less that thing operated, the more my body was able to relax. The more my body with that all anxiousness and everything was to relax. And that's where I would, and once again, when I'd go to bed at nighttime, I was ready to go to sleep.
Mhm.
Without alcohol, I could not sleep.
Mhm.
I just couldn't. I just laid in bed and rolled
Yeah.
because I couldn't. But with alcohol, it would put me in a state where I could get, 3 to 4 hours before I got into the shakes.
Yeah.
So,
And just to be clear, I was not a partier. I never went to clubs. I never
Right.
went to parties. I
Yeah.
never did any of that. It was just,
didn't like to be around people.
I loved being around people. That's the sad
Uh-oh.
part. I absolutely loved being around people, but my life was not about that.
Okay.
That was just not how it was structured. I saw my clients, and then I needed to get loaded until, whatever. So we just never went out. We never did anything. I was so incapable of doing anything. I love people, but I was so unwell that I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't do anything. And my pimp wasn't big into any of that either. So it just didn't happen. Just didn't do it. So over the course of the first night that I brought that meth dealer over, because he had been a client and he knew about what was going on, like with the abortion and with everything. And he, over the course of the first night, convinced me to kick my pimp out and move him and his 5-year-old into my house.
Girl or boy?
Little boy. Sweetest little angel in the whole world. And
So you did it.
oh yeah, seemed like the best idea.
Fuck yeah.
And
Didn't
Yeah.
see anything wrong with it.
kicked my pimp out, brought him in, brought the little boy in, because basically this kid and I looked at each other, and I said, "You're my son," and he said, "You're my mom," and that was it. First time meeting, it was just that kind of like psychotic thing, because this kid was desperate, for anything positive, and I was so reeling from this trauma that I just put that all on him, and things were ugly. That dude was a particularly sick person, and it was abusive in a different way. And he was abusive to the child. And I told him, if you hit that kid in my house, I will slit your throat in the night. And so he was just abusive in other ways that I didn't know. Like he would just yell and scream and belittle, and
Which is worse.
So I would say sometimes that's worse.
For me,
Way worse.
for me, that's
Way-
worse. For me,
way
that's worse.
way worse. Well, I can't speak for the child's experience, but I mean, like for me, yeah. But I had no idea what to do. And one of the worst things that I did through the course of all of this is that I was so desperate for comfort and affection. Meth sweat straight out your skin.
Oh, baby.
And I would cuddle this child to me for my own comfort and sweat meth straight into his skin. And he'd be bouncing off the fucking walls, like it had an effect.
Yeah.
And that was just how we were living at that time. And finally things got so bad. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. You guys might be able to see it, but I have this little scar here and this little scar here. My eyebrow, that's what that is. He split my face open so bad that I was like, I'm going to have to deal with this. I really didn't want to deal with it. Because the thing is, I'd rather die than admit I'm wrong.
Right.
All I had to do to get out of this situation was admit that I had been wrong and ask
Right.
for some help. And I was like, maybe I die instead of doing that. But
It's the insanity of
Yeah.
our thought process.
Yep, but this-
insanity of our thought process.
this child was involved, and I didn't know what to do. And
Justify, rationalize, or minimize.
I called my pimp, and I said, I need help. I need to get out of this situation.
The dude you just booted.
And he said, bitch, call the cops. I'm not coming over.
Right. Probably a smart move on his part.
Like, what do you want me to do? He was like, I'm there for you, because him and I, through all the ugliness, like, I mean, we had a relationship, and also like I was his, he didn't do
Source of income
side of me being there. And so I was, I could always kind of leapfrog back. And so I called the cops. Cops came, and things were just bleak from there. And I was doing meth. I started doing heroin. Everything was crazy. I couldn't sustain heroin for that long. Or the street drugs. Once the street drugs got involved, I just couldn't sustain it for that long. And I just ended up in a situation where I was too weak to light a lighter, and I was too weak to go out and get my prescription filled. And so what happened is I fell into withdrawals against my will, like no intention of that. But I slipped into withdrawals, and then I slipped into psychosis. And I was in psychosis for a week. And I was shitting and throwing up all over myself. I have a memory of throwing up on my pillow and laying right back down on it. Because I was just so weak and so out of my mind. And then my pimp called a welfare check on me finally, and they took me to the hospital. And
was the man not living with you anymore?
So the way that it worked is I always had an apartment that I was working out of.
Gotcha.
And then he, because his daughter didn't live where we worked,
Okay. Yeah.
And so he had our other place. Okay. And because I was working out of hotels, and then when the whole butt dialed my dad, my pimp beating my ass, I got my own apartment. So then I was working out of that apartment, and then he was in the other space. So it was like, yeah. And so at that time, he was not. He one of the times where he didn't have a key. He either had a key to my place or he didn't, and that was one of the times where he didn't. So he couldn't get in, and so he called the welfare check. He brought me to the hospital. The hospital was kind of like, "Oh, there's nothing really wrong. This is just like a junkie, like she's fucked up for sure, but there's nothing really to do." And so they let me go, but they had brought me without a shirt. So I'm in this hospital. I've got nothing, like nowhere to go. Like,
hospital gown.
They're like, "Get out of here." And I tried to go over to like the cancer ward because it's really nice in there. And then I tried to go over here.
I spent quite a bit of time in there.
There you go. It's beautiful. They were like, "Get out of here." And so I'm shitting down my leg. Huh. They're like, "You need to leave." And I have no, explanation for it. We all know the explanation for it. I somehow, because I'm not good with directions or streets or spatial anything, I find my way very close to where my apartment is. Like, I'm going in the right direction. I have no idea how, because it certainly wasn't anything conscious going on my part. Shitting down my leg. Grown men are getting to the other side of the street from me. It was like 6 a.m. and they're walking their dogs, and nice little Seattle area, and they're just like, "Oh shit, this is like a crazy person with shit coming down her leg." And this woman stops me, and she's in a car, and she's like, do you need help? I'm on my way to an AA meeting. Can I help you? And I'm like, she was like, "Do you want to go to this meeting?" I was like, "I'm shitting down my leg, so I don't think it's a great idea, but I was like, I do need to get home." And she was like, "Well, I'll drive you. I'll take you home." She brought me to my place.
She put you in her car.
Mm-hmm. She let me get in her car.
Only a recovered alcoholic will do that.
Absolutely.
I was like, "Are you sure you want me in your car?" Like, I was like, "This is shit." I pointed to my shoe that was covered in my shit. I was like, "This is my own shit." And she was like, "Yeah, it's good. You're fine." And she let me get in her car. She brought me home. She brought me up to my apartment. I showered the shit off my body. And she told me some stuff about her experience. She told me some stuff about Alcoholics Anonymous. I was speaking in a French accent. I have no explanation for that either.
You get more money for that?
No, I've never done a French accent before in my life. And I told her,
I make Siri talk to me in a British accent.
And I told her, I said, "Look, this is not my real voice. I don't know why this is happening, but just so you know, I can't stop this. I don't know what's going on." She's like,
I guarantee she understands.
No, she was good.
Girl, I got you.
She was good. And she left me her phone number, and she left. And by that time, my pimp had called my dad, and my dad showed up. I was so out of my mind. I was so in psychosis, just talking so crazy. And he's like, I'm taking you to rehab. And I'm basically like, yeah, I'm covered in shit. Like, where are we? We can go wherever.
Wherever you want to go.
Well, you're clean now. You showered.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not picky about our destination. And he took me to a very bougie, nice rehab in the Bay. And I had never considered getting really physically sober.
Day, year.
So this was June of 2018.
Okay.
And
what's your sobriety date?
January 23rd, 2019.
Okay.
And I went to that facility, and I remember early on them being like stuff about the brain, and they're like, once you start, you can't stop. And I was like, that's it. I was like, oh, because I had never put it down before. I had never actually let it leave my system in any real way. There was always something. For the last 8 years, solid, every single day, there had been something. I've been getting loaded for like 9.5 years. For like 8 years solid, every single minute, there was something in my system. And it all left. It was very uncomfortable. I was obviously in a lot of physical pain. Yep. The pain was really bad. It's bad for everyone, but when you have chronic pain, it is brutal. And so I was awake for like 12 nights. Everything was terrible. But then I got to the other side, and I was like, oh, this is like what it was. This is just what it was before. Like, it's really not that much worse. So I was like, okay, I can do this. Once you start, you can't stop. I called my pimp. I was like, throw out the kratom. I was like, I get it now. I can't do anything, and I really thought I had figured it out.
Self-knowledge.
Yeah. Oh. And they were bringing us to meetings, and I was like, I have higher power.
Aphrodite.
I have a religion. Everything you guys are talking about here is stupid because I already have that, and you are all weird. And I was not interested, but I was in a, situation where I was going to a meeting every day. We had to go, because I moved into sober living. We had to go to a meeting every day, and I was like, this is silly, and I don't want any part of it. They were like, you need to get a sponsor, and I was like, no. And so I didn't, and I have a very clear memory of this guy who shared, and I know it was a really powerful share because I remember one thing from it. He talked about teaching a man how to read so they could read the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous together. So I know it was a very powerful share, but all I was thinking about, besides cluing into that one little part, was I was looking at his shoes to assess how much money he had to figure out how much money he might be able to give to me. That's how I thought. That's what I was doing in meetings. Right. That's what was going on. There was ears were closed. There was nothing getting in there. And my head works on me like somebody trying to like crack into a safe. It's like throwing out all these different combinations. Because I was thinking about getting loaded, and I was like, this is weird. Why would I be thinking about getting loaded? I'm sober now.
Right.
My head is very loud. This is strange.
My head is loud. That's a good one.
My head was so loud. I was like, I really was treating something with those drugs. This is crazy. And my head was telling me like, hey, you should get loaded because you want to, like, because it would feel good. And I'm like, no. And I bat that thought away. And I was like, oh, this is it. The thought comes up and you just smush it down. And that's how everybody's staying sober. This is great. And then my head was like, you should have something on hand in case you have a flare-up of that chronic pain. And there was all kinds of kratom in the stores.
Reservation.
Well, no, justify, rationalize.
All kinds of kratom in the stores. I went and I bought it. And then I was like,
just in case.
I should take it now. I should just take some now. And also, weirdly, I was being prescribed Flexerol, because it's a normal thing to prescribe for my condition, and a bunch of other psych meds. And I don't like to get prescriptions filled that aren't doing anything for me. Like, that's a whole hassle if they're not going to get me loaded. And Flexerol wasn't working. Like, Flexerol had stopped working for me for a long time. Like, I thought it was doing something to help my muscles, and I just wasn't getting high off of it anymore, but whatever. And so I just, like, stopped getting my prescriptions filled. And then I was like, well, I was taking, like, 18 Aleve a day for my pain. Just being weird. And then I bought the kratom, and I was like, well, I should take this. And I took the first dose, and the first dose left my body, and I took the second one, And that was that. And then my pimp was all this time actively trying to get me to come home. Obviously, he was like, we need to, for him,
we need to get back to work.
Well, for him, the best case scenario was that I get sober. Like, he was stoked.
Right.
He was like, this is great.
Yeah,
like all my problems are solved now. Like, she'll get sober and we'll really be able to do the things that we want to do. And so he's trying to get me to come home. And he's like, and I can't remember what I said. I'm sure I brought it up. But he was like, look, you can do Xanax, but you can't do the heroin. He's like, I'll get that for you if you come out. But you can't do the heroin and the meth. And he was living at my apartment. He had lost his, like the place that we had, he had lost that. And he was like living in my place. Cause I still had a lease or whatever, I was just in sober living. And then I told everybody, I was like, I need to get back to Seattle. I need to go get my stuff. I was also telling everybody I needed a higher level of care. It was very confusing, but I got on a flight back to Seattle. He gave me the Xanax and I said, this is my apartment and my heroin dealer's coming over and you need to get the fuck out of here.
That quickly.
And it wasn't even a thing of like, once I took the Xanax, then it was like the heroin. I was already planning on doing it all. Like there was
You already had it reserved.
I didn't have any question of like, oh, well, we'll just not do that. I was super down to do it all. And my heroin dealer took some convincing to come over and give it to me because she was like, you've been sober, you're doing so well, whatever. And I was like, no. And so that was sad for her. And then I moved her in. That part
easier.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That part of my life doesn't really.
But this is short lived because you're about ready to get sober.
3 months. I made it 3 months. It took me 10 years the first time. It took me 3 months the second time.
Right.
And I slipped back into psychosis. The same thing happened where I got weak and crazy and I slipped into psychosis. And I was like, the Russians are after me and I have to go to rehab. That's what happened.
Are they on top? Are they on the rooftops?
No, they were just vaguely looking for me.
Okay.
And so I was like, I have to go back to rehab. And I had to call my dad and be like, I need to go back to rehab. And that time, God bless him, he was like, okay, I'm busy for the next week. I'll come get you in a week. And so I had to shake and bake on my own for a little bit.
The Jimmy legs no sleeping kind of.
It was rough. And then I went to rehab and I went back to the same one because I was like, I had such a good time there. And it was
welcome back.
It was a good time. So they brought me back 6 months later. And I had sex with someone in the laundry room. And so
at rehab?
Yes. So
damn it.
They didn't want me to stay. And
they're no fun.
You got caught then.
Well, I told them that it happened because I'm insane.
You love punishment.
Well, I love attention.
Yes.
I love attention. Like
any way you can get it.
It's just a fun, exciting thing that happened, and I wanted to share about it.
Right.
The really sad thing is that this was like a dude who was like, he was about to leave. It was like his 30 days. He was like married. And so that happened. And I was in bad shape too. Like a little bit shame on him. I can see myself in it. I get it. But like, I was nothing interesting to look at that moment. That's just pure compulsion. And me too. And so they sent me away. And they sent me to a dual diagnosis for trauma and substance in Orange County in Costa Mesa. And they sent me to that facility because they thought a women's facility would solve the problem. It did not. I had sex the second night that I got there, but they let me stay. God bless them. I did it again on the 60th day, but they again let me stay, and God bless them. But
same person?
No. Nope, different person. And I was just doing my thing. So I got to this facility and something was different. You know, I don't have a lot to say why or what, but something was different. I had this memory. Okay, I didn't get into this part of the story, but basically I got a new pimp at one point, and then that pimp robbed my other pimp, and then they robbed me of everything that I had. And I knew that vaguely. It wasn't confirmed yet, but like I knew what was going on. I had left. Basically, everyone had keys. Every single person had keys to the apartment. And everyone was mad at each other, and it was just a bad situation. And I have this memory of being in rehab and thinking about it. And every time I think about something like that, my stomach just drops. And I have this memory of thinking about it, and I had no somatic reaction to it. And I was like, whoa. So that was like a very different thing. And again, they were I was going to be there for 90 days. I was going to be in that facility for 90 days. And so they were not messing around with me because I was a terror. So just to be clear, I had graduated from high school, never graduated from college, never had a job, never been gainfully employed, never been employed at all in any way. Well, not in any way, in some way, but I mean, never in any real way. Never graduated high school. I show up to this medical facility. And by the second day, I'm like, look, I need to be on these meds. She needs to be on these. The groups you're doing are not good. We need to be changing them
place
off the rip.
Why do you think I had such an attraction to her? She was running the place.
They called me the shadow program director. And that was just the degree to which I had faith and trust in my own ideas. They were like, we are not dealing with this for the next 90 days. So they're like, you have to get a sponsor. Because it was going to be a long time. So they were very adamant. They said, you have to get a sponsor. And I went to a meeting where a woman was taking a year chip, and she told a story about how she had been arrested for walking a man on a leash like a dog in a public display of prostitution. And I said, that woman knows a little something about my experience. And what's crazy is she never shared about her experience with sex work at group level, ever in a meeting. It was the first time she ever had done it. And I was there, and I had like a couple weeks, 3 weeks. I'd been there for like 3 weeks or something. And I asked her to be my sponsor. And she explained to me a little something about selfishness and self-centeredness. Because I was like, I'm not an alcoholic. Alcohol is not.
That's why you read page 60 to 63 every day.
Alcohol is not my thing. I read page 60 to 63 every day because I was directed to do so.
You still do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I never stopped following the direction I was given in the beginning of my sobriety. And there's no reason to. It got me this far. I don't know why I would suddenly stop doing it now. And yeah, I got sober in an ultra fundamentalist big book group. First 164 only, no stories, no 12 and 12, nothing else, no other literature, all just
primary purpose, buddy.
Yeah.
All just straight up to the book, just the book. That was it. And it was a group of women who were all doing the exact same thing. And if you didn't do what they did, you had to leave. And that was just how the group was. And the direction was very simple. It was read pages 60 to 63. First thing you do when you wake up. Say thy will be done instead of thinking. Constant thought of thy will be done. Go to a meeting. And go to a detox. So we went to a detox for at least an hour every day as well as a meeting. And if you didn't do that, you had to leave because it was Orange County. So there were detoxes and rehabs everywhere. So it was very easy to do that. And that was the direction. And like I said, if you didn't follow it, you had to go somewhere else. And I was still in rehab. I got through my steps fully while I was still in rehab. So I had that direction, but I was only able to do what I was able to do while I was still in rehab. And the way that my group does it with 1 and 2 is that simple general conversation.
Right.
Just assessing, do you have this? And do you think that human aid really got you anywhere? And that's really it.
Well, page 60 tells you that.
That's really it. Working with others tells you that. It says, look, this is what 1 and 2 is about. It's, just this conversation of, do you have alcoholism and do you think you can solve it?
Right.
That's really it. So we have a very specific book study. I could run you through the paragraphs that it is because I was in the book study of these paragraphs 3 times a week for like 2 years. So the first paragraph we read is We of Alcoholics Anonymous, forward to the first edition. The second paragraph is Frothy Emotional Appeal, there in the doctor's opinion. The second paragraph is on the same page, Men and Women Drink. Then we flip to page 18, where we read An Illness of this Sort. And then we skip over that little tiny paragraph and we read Highly Competent Psychiatrist, the one underneath it. Yeah. And then we go to page 23, where it says these observations were pointless. I add the one underneath it to make it clear which observations are pointless. Mm-hmm. And then...
If the alcoholic never picked up the first drink.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. And because the phenomenon of craving, which is what they're referring to, is explained on the bottom of 22. So I add that paragraph in, but we didn't always do that. And then
context.
We read, and we read the fact is on 24, and then we read on 25, there is a solution. So that those paragraphs, like I said, I was in a book study of just those paragraphs 3 times a week.
Wow.
Because that's 1 and 2. And so we just drilled that. So I was brought through 1 and 2 that way. And then the next...
I'm sorry, in Orange County is where you were in that
Costa Mesa, yeah.
Costa Mesa, okay.
And then the next time that we met, it was 60 to 63, and I was on a 3rd step. Because that's it. That's all there is to do.
Right.
And I was...
let's go.
I was confronted with this question. Oh, that's not how it was in my group. The 3rd step was way, 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 way more than that. Because in my group, it wasn't making a decision. It was turning your will in your life over. The 3rd step was turning your will in your life over.
So my sponsor told me, and I said, he goes, that's your thinking and your actions, Robbie. Jay.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
How do I do that? He goes, you do the next 9 fucking steps. We didn't just say fucking, we said next 9 steps.
Right.
Yeah, in my group, it was different. We got really concrete direction of what turning our will in our life over was. And so I was confronted with this question. I believed I was Aphrodite's chosen mortal on earth.
Well, you've had that in your mind for a lot of years.
And that really... was a curveball for my sponsor, and God bless her. She did exactly what it says to do in working with others when you're confronted with a religious sponsee. She did exactly what it says to do, where she said, you probably know more about this than I do. But how's that working out for you? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh shit, I'm in this adult daycare and you're not. So, we got to take a look at that. And yeah, she laid it out to me, and I had to go within. And basically the idea of admitting that it had all been bullshit.
Admitting you're wrong.
Admitting that the religion I had conscripted other people into was a delusion. It was so painful to even think about. And there was this part of me, the biggest, loudest, most natural part of me is like, if you admit that it's blasphemy, then it is. And then you're fucked. And then you can't do anything. You have to double down, and you have to go deeper and further with this. And there was that still small voice I'd never heard from in my entire life up to this point saying, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Just try this. And I turned my will and my life over. And I got the same relief from that as I did the first time that I got loaded. And I was hooked. That was it. I was like, this is it.
Clean.
This is all that I want. This is all that I want for the rest of my life. Because the degree to which I was playing God in my life made it a really intense relief when I turned my will and my life over.
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
That what you felt right there is the same way as me explaining. I saw that pinprick of light come through
in Chris's office.
Just little pinprick, that moment of something to reverse the darkness. Just that little bit of moment, she saw the same thing. And that's why I think we connected so much, because you had that. I've never heard anybody explain it the way you explained it and when I heard you speak. But that reversing of that darkness in our brains, right? I feel like our brains are the same thing, as we were just in such a dark hole. The only thing that was going to keep us, sustain us, was our getting loaded or getting drunk or doing what we're doing, because that's what we have to do to stay here. The moment we saw an out of that and we could do it another, and we wanted out, right? I did. I know I did. I wanted out. I just didn't know how to get out. Mm-hmm. But the moment I saw the solutions to what that was in a different way, I wanted everything. I wanted it right now.
Yep.
My addiction to alcohol changed to addiction to serenity, and that's what I wanted. Yeah.
Everybody do it. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in my group, all the emphasis was placed on the 3rd step. The idea of it being the keystone was constantly being explained, where it was like
that triumphal arch to which we pass to freedom from self.
If you think that you are the one in control, you are fucked.
Right.
And the way it was explained is that a higher power's will is happening with or without you. You don't have to understand anything about what a higher power is to know that it's a higher power's will that's running things. And you can get on board or get dragged. And that's what was explained. And
remember her saying that too.
Yep. It's not that I'm giving up control. I'm giving up the delusion I ever had control.
Well, for me, I was relinquishing authority.
Yeah.
I'm still on the team. I'm just not the captain anymore. God is, and I'm just going to relinquish authority. Here you go. Tell me where to step, because I'm fucking things up.
Yep. And it was explained to me that my thoughts were the problem. And I know today that if I'm thinking my own thoughts, I am not safe. Physically, emotionally, spiritually, you are also not safe if I'm thinking my own thoughts. I will harm you to get what I want. That's what I've proved through all my experience. I will do anything to anybody at any point. It does not matter to
Selfish.
me. I will do whatever. There's a definition of ruthless that is about like point A to point B and anything to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's how I was. I did not care. I did not consider others or how things would impact them. And the whole while, I thought that was just the right way of the world. Because when I want something, I feel like I'm going to die if I don't get it. And that kicks in my survival instinct. And so it feels like life or death every time I want something. And I'm talking about picking what we eat for dinner or what we watch on TV. Yeah. That's life or death.
I still go through it.
Yep.
I still fight that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's life or death for me. So it kicks in my survival instinct. And so when it was explained to me that I was going to live in this completely new way, or I was going to stop going after the things that I wanted, what was explained to me is like, have you ever gotten what you wanted and everything was okay? No. Never has anything been okay. And furthermore and moreover, the things I want are really bad for me.
Right.
So they've actually gotten me in a worse position most of the time. It was explained, it's not that I can't make some shit happen. It's that once I get it, it doesn't satisfy or fulfill anyway. So what am I doing? Scraping and clawing and doing all this nonsense to go after it and to try to get it. So this new way of life was explained to me. My thoughts are the problem. They're the ones making life so dangerous and untenable. And so I was taught that I couldn't think my own thoughts. I'd have to turn my will over in a concrete way. And I was told to say, thy will be done constantly.
And your name isn't thy.
The constant thought of thy will be done. So we were taught to just say it in our heads all the time. And for me, it was such a relief and a pleasure to think anything other than my own thoughts. So I was super into it. But then it's grown into this understanding that these things that are happening according to a higher power's will. It's not my business to get involved with it. I'm here to play the role that I was assigned.
And just to the precise extent that we permit these, sorry.
Well, that's what it says. It builds a relationship both in that part about fear that comes right after what you're referencing on the next page and in the third step promises. It references the same thing where the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous creates a relationship between the extent to which I'm doing what my higher power would have me and my ability to meet situations successfully. And that was explained to me very early on, is that the extent to which I'm following direction and relying on this power rather than relying on myself and relying on bullshit, am I going to be able to walk through anything? You know, we use this expression.
Calamity and serenity.
Exactly.
It matches calamity with serenity. And that's his favorite.
That's my favorite. I quote that all the time.
That's why I got the two rivers flowing together back here. That's where peace and calamity learn to live.
Yep.
And that was, to me, was such a, when I first read
God enables us to match calamity.
When I first read that in the big book, I'm like, this book's full of shit. There's no way that those two things will ever be able to live together. Ever. I never thought I'd ever see peace. Ever again. I knew peace was gone in my life.
Yeah.
Never is going to get back there. And when I read that in there, I was like, that is the stupidest shit I could ever. And now it's like, we live it. We live in the calamity, right? We have to live in it. When that acceptance, that 417 is that we accept it. And I was just talking to somebody the other day. They go, well, I accept it. I go, well, then you haven't adjusted your lifestyle to your acceptance because you're still fighting it, right? You haven't accepted shit if you're still fighting against it.
Well, that's where acceptance has never been a phrase that means anything to me. To me, that's such a human thing where it's like, I'm going to accept this. Like, I'm signing off on God's will. God needs me to be in acceptance, and then things can proceed. And I'm not saying that everybody who uses it is using it that way. I know that people mean it in a really meaningful way. But for me...
But who usually... I mean, who are the... And I've had my issues with it, and he knows that. Generally, when newcomers come in, and so they start chairing meetings, what's the first fucking page they want to use as a topic? 417. They love it. It's great for them at that point. It's great.
I don't know about that. I was taught to turn things over.
We got to grow out of that.
I was taught to turn things over, not to accept it.
Acceptance the Father of light who presides over all.
Acceptance is this thing I do within myself. Turning it over is me admitting that I need this power for it. I'm not just looking at my circumstances saying, well, let me get in acceptance. No, I'm struggling with something, which means I can't do it of myself. I need this power. So I was taught to turn it over, not to accept. And for me, it's a much more like semantically helpful way to look at it. And there are things in this program that I think it's really important how you think about it, like the power of choice. You know, some people are like, oh, yeah, like I chose to relapse. Why the fuck would you do that? You chose to relapse? No, the power of choice was taken from me.
Yes.
If I get loaded again, it's because I stopped turning my will and my life over. And the natural result of that is that I will get loaded because I am powerless. Yep. It's not that I'm choosing not to drink today. I don't choose not to drink. I choose to turn my will.
Exactly. The reason I'm an alcoholic, and I know God's working in my life today because I'm not obsessing over alcohol. I don't even think about it. I don't think about drinking anymore. I think about breathing. I know God's working, and that's how I know, because I'm not, my normal state of mind was drink every day, and that's gone.
I'm either thinking about drinking or not drinking, and today I don't think.
And I was literally managing my day to make sure I had my drinks at the time that it needed to be at the right time of the day, because I knew about what time I'd start withdrawing. So I knew that I need to be here by this time. I need to be here by this time. And like you said earlier, to go on vacation, shit, that was tough. Right. That was tough. Unless the whole family was going, then it was okay because it was a all day drink. Right. But going to Disneyland and doing those kind of things with the family, it was more work to schedule my drinking.
Oh, yeah.
And expensive when you went to Disneyland. It was cheap to drink at home. Right. Same thing.
Not really.
Well,
to a fucking car payment. Fuck no.
Right.
I spent a lot of money.
But back to the promise about fear.
Right.
What's so great?
When we commence to outgrow fear? That promise? Or which one?
No, the promise is just to the extent that we do as our higher power would have us and humbly rely on them, are we able to match calamity with serenity. So that promise is a good news, bad news situation.
How so?
The bad news is that there is no promise of this program in this book from God that the thing you're afraid of is not going to happen.
No.
That is not the promise. The promise is that if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you are guaranteed to walk through it sane, sober, and successfully. Yep. That's the promise. And so that was what was explained to me when I first got sober, is all the emphasis was placed around the action, the extent to which I was following direction, because everything flowed from that. That's the only part I have any control over. You know, this is also fun for me, you know, when people are like, yeah, I'm powerless, you know, over people, places.
Oh, I hate that. I fucking hate
this. The only thing I can control is myself.
Shut up.
If I could control myself, why would I have come to Alcoholics Anonymous?
I wouldn't lead you people, and I wouldn't need God.
Control myself, I'd be running around out there controlling myself. I am fundamentally and constitutionally incapable of controlling myself, which is why I am in AA.
Can I ask you a question right there? Do you remember the moment that thought came into your mind when you realized that
I couldn't control myself? Yeah, when I was 3.
Okay.
100% knew that from the moment of consciousness. I was like, oh, I am out of control. I am not the one controlling this boat here.
Yeah, and I guess that's where my narcissism came in, because I never realized that till I walked into the room where I was with the counselor and he had all the chairs turned around backwards. And I started moving the chairs back to where they're supposed to be. He started yelling at me because it's not my job, right? And I realized I'm a control freak, you know, and the moment he did that
little light came on.
The moment he did that, I was like, who the fuck does this guy think he's talking to? Does he not know who the fuck I am? And then he told me to sit down and shut my fucking mouth. And I was like, oh. And then it was like, it like shocked me. And I'm like, that's when I saw it a little bit, just a moment of light. And I'm like, I am a no good, rotten, controlling freak son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. That's why I asked that question, is I know exactly when it was.
Well, see, and my pet peeve in the book, when people come in, you know, what they'll say in our rooms, I'm powerless. The book tells you I'm powerless over people, places, and things. And I don't ever, in my shares, I don't go correct people like my sponsors used to do. But the book doesn't say that. It says we're powerless over alcohol.
Right. It also says we lack the power to live, though.
Yeah. But
so that's an easy extrapolation from lack the power to live to, you know, I lack power over anything. But for me, I love that part where it says we lack the power to live, because that helps me understand that it's not just that I'm powerless over alcohol, but I need this power to flow in and through me so that I can meet life successfully, so that I can live. I can't live without relying on this power. Because that's the funny thing. It's like, oh, we practice these principles in all of our affairs. Yeah, I bring my alcoholism into all of my affairs. Like, if you've got an affair you're not bringing your alcoholism into, like, feel free, you know, like run wild, you know, not bringing the principles into it or whatever. But I bring my alcoholism into all my affairs. I bring selfishness, self-centeredness, fear, and delusion into everything that I do. And so I need a solution to that. And so all the emphasis was placed on the work. It was all placed around this is what you do on a daily basis. And I'm so glad
It's a
that I got
spiritual
sober
program
in
of
that
action.
group. Spiritual program of action. And the other part, you know, we're talking about that part where it says lack the power to live. It says we believe this program to be spiritual as well as moral.
In nature.
And I love that it says that, because for me, it's so important to remember that it's not just patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. These are the morals. These are the principles. Those are used interchangeably. It's spiritual in the sense that I don't have the power within myself.
Right.
I lack
Page
the
45.
power to tap into those things. And so I need this power greater than myself, which is again why like acceptance doesn't work with me, and coming to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. There was no like struggle there. There was nothing like complicated that I had to get on board with. But I was asked a simple question that every single person in my group was asked, and I think it's really helpful, where I was asked, do you believe you are literally the most powerful being in the universe? We were all asked that. Because if you can say no to that question, by definition, you believe there are powers greater than yourself.
Correct.
You don't have to know anything about that power to know that it's not you, and to know that there's something greater. And
They would have asked me that question. I'd have probably been, what
Yeah.
part of the universe are we talking
You'd have fucking
about here?
thought about it, seriously.
I would have.
And that's when they bring people down to the ocean.
Right.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
You were a high priestess.
I was like, but that's what's so funny about it is I was like, yeah, there's a higher power than me, but I'm their right hand.
Right.
Like, I'm like, we're
I'm the
like,
prophet.
we're
Right.
like this. And that's why, you know, the third step was so impactful for me. It was like, wow, this is really not happening. So I was taught to turn my will over by saying thy will be done. And then I was taught to turn my life over by following direction.
Right.
And I was given that concrete direction. I was told to play the role I was assigned instead of the roles that I made up for myself. And that took me a minute, but I got there, you know, of understanding what that was. Because you can, you know, get your ass kicked so many times trying to play a role you're not assigned. Why is this not working out?
Right.
So you realize, like, okay.
My best thinking got me here. I'll use someone else's now.
Yep.
So where are you at now with your sobriety? Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
are you, so when you got sober, I got sober with him. That's literally, he was my sponsor. And then he immediately got me involved, you know, in chairing. Did you get involved in chairing into meetings?
Service work.
Into service work?
So in the group that I got sober in, we had to go to all the same meetings.
Okay.
So like we were given a meeting schedule and we had
Okay.
to go to those meetings. And in my group's service, in the sense of like taking a position in the group, wasn't what service meant.
Okay.
Service was going to detox and carrying this message to an alcoholic who
Okay.
had never heard of AA before.
Okay.
So kind of like what they talk about as service in the actual book.
Yeah, like 12-step work.
Right.
Yeah, carrying this message to others.
Mhm.
That was what service was. So I didn't take a service position until I had like 9 or 10 months sober. And then the pandemic hit when I had like a year and 3 months. And we moved everything online in the group that I got sober in. And I came to stay with my mom in Sacramento. So I was doing everything online with my group in Orange County from Sacramento. And so we had our meeting every day that had been moved there, but I couldn't go to detox anymore because I wasn't there and everything was shut down. So what we did is we started a book study. All of our meetings were book studies anyway, but we started a book study before the meeting. And so I was just in 2 hours of book study back to back every day.
Nothing better to do.
It was so great.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And so that's what we did. And then I've always sponsored a lot.
Okay.
And then today I have 4 service positions
Wow.
and 5 sponsees. And I'm in I do a lot of service work, but it's never really been like, oh, service keeps me sober. It's just that, you know,
You enjoy it.
well, it's, you know,
That's what you do.
I
That's
owe
what
it.
I
I
do,
owe
yeah.
it. I
That's
owe
what
it
you
to
do.
AA when
Right.
someone asks me to
Now,
take
do you-
a position. So
They give me shit. Actually, that's out of love. Do you ever, you know, that you've heard the saying, don't let the life that AA provides get in the way of your AA life. Have you ever let your AA life or this get too much? I mean, do too much.
do
I
too
do.
much in AA.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've had my wife say, hey, honey, can I have a day? And I've had Larry come up to me on a few times, Rob. And
Well, we talked about this.
yeah, we
I-
talked
I
about it.
mean,
You know, because sometimes I get,
it's not a level
because
of
God will give you,
burnout,
you know,
it's just,
that God will never give you
have
more.
to protect yourself too.
I'm not married. I've been single my entire 7 years of sobriety. My friends are from AA. Like, I've just really never had
I got you.
anything,
Yeah.
like that.
That's probably how I would be.
I have,
We have a guy in our group that's never been married. He's 72 years old, never been married.
I'm so situated that I can give nearly all my time to this work. I'm just one of those fortunates, you know, like it just happens.
Top of page 19.
It just happens to be that my situation has always been like that. But what I say and what I tell my sponsees who have, you know, other affairs or whatever, like, this is what I do in my free time. I spend my free time doing this. If there is a point in my life where I have less free time because I have things that I need to attend to, I will do less. And I will always know that when I had this amount of free time, that's what I did with it. I will always know that.
Right.
And so it's not so much about keeping always the same amount that you do, but knowing that it's your priority. And, you know, some people put it this way, and I think this is such a good way to explain it, is I put this first so my family doesn't come second.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
That's a
And
good
so
point.
So I go to a meeting every day. I have a sister who lives in England. And when she's here, I do not go to a meeting every day. Or when I'm there, I do not go to a meeting every day. Because I don't get to see her as much as I would like.
What's the age difference?
She's 4 years older than me.
Okay.
And
one sibling?
No, I'm the youngest of 5.
Oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Come on.
And so when I am in my routine, when I'm in routine, I have never had a day where I just didn't go to a meeting. I've never had a day where I was like, oh, I just can't fit it in, or I'm busy, or I don't feel like it, or whatever. But when I'm out of my routine and I'm attending and being present with my family and I'm doing stuff, I don't make them reroute everything so I have to get to a meeting. And if you guys don't let me get to a meeting, something bad's going to happen. I don't do that. I don't terrorize my family with the program of Alcoholics Anonymous like I used to with getting loaded.
They get me with it, though. I get AA'd all that, you know, which is awesome. Especially when my daughter and my son get, you know, throw the big book back at you.
That's the best.
Did you just quote page 72, fucker?
That's the best.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah, so I keep my routine really, really specific. But when, like, I do all those things when I'm in routine. And then when I'm out of routine, I do every single thing except a meeting. Like, I still do all the same prayer and meditation. I never don't do that. I never don't do, you know, the inventory, all that kind of stuff. But a meeting, when my family is here or when I need to pay attention to them, I do that.
When you moved to New York, how long did it take you to get that connected in to the groups that you're now in with there? How long have you lived in New York?
2.5 years.
Okay. And it took you probably a short amount of time to get locked into that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there was really any time where I wasn't. I mean, you just show up and you start doing things. And that's that.
But how long did it take you to find a home group that you were comfortable with?
Oh, I've never found a home group I was comfortable with
since
I got sober.
Really?
Nobody does it like that. And that's the thing, is when you are used to and you are taught that is the only way, and you're going to die if you do something else. And that's what I was taught.
Hey, we're kind of set in our fucking ways too.
It takes a lot.
Right.
So I can't say that I have ever found a group that I was completely comfortable with after that, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to be comfortable.
Right.
I don't need people to sound like me. I don't need them to be doing what I'm doing, do it the right way. I don't need any of that. Right. I'm just here to carry this message to people who need help, and they'll come ask me for help, and I'll teach them exactly like I was taught.
I think the only reason why I say that is because our Monday night group is just there's 27, 28 of us, and we meet every Monday. And it's not really an AA meeting. It's literally just a bunch of guys reading the book and holding each other accountable. And that to me is my home group, right? Mm-hmm. It's not even an AA meeting. I just know that right there, those men right there, if there was something going sideways with me, they would be there without a doubt.
And have been. So we're there.
That's the only, I think there's the reason why I asked about home group, because I know I've heard other people say it took them a long time to find a home group when they had to move to another state or, you know, move out. For me, when I'm traveling, and I travel a lot, when I go into San Diego or down south or wherever I'm at, I love going into meetings. I love going to outside meetings. It's by far the funnest thing I can do. I learn a lot, right? And the way they run the meetings are different than we run the meetings. Every state, it seems like, runs the meetings a different way. So it's always fun for that. So that's why I was asking is how long it took you to get locked in over there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I am, in the sense that, like, I have a meeting that I go to where I feel like people are...
Like, those are your people.
But I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people who I'm really close to in the program.
You guys just follow each other around.
Yeah, we just hang out. Right, we just go, we go wherever. And so, yeah, I have a bunch of people that I'm really close to, but it's just, I don't have like a meeting. Right. And I have a home group. I have a meeting I consider a home group. I have multiple meetings that I do service at. I could consider any of them my home group. But when I think of a home group, I think of like that ideological alignment, and I have
Right.
never found that.
Gotcha.
But you had that initially.
Just when I got sober,
And
yeah,
it's
I didn't
hard.
really
But
find it in
that's a good
Sacramento or
foundation
New York.
for
Yeah,
you to have, though,
absolutely.
Because do you use that in sponsoring? Like how you sponsor and what your sponsee should be doing is how you learned it.
Well, I tell them, if you want
That's
what
a
I
good
have, you have to
foundation.
do what
Do what
I
I've done.
did.
Well,
Right.
it's a good foundation.
And if you want to do something else, I will be your homie. We can be friends. I will hang out with you, but I'm not your sponsor.
My rule 3.
Right.
Anytime you want to go somewhere, I have 4 rules for sponsorship. Rule 3 is anytime you want to go a different direction, grow.
Yeah. I'm just not your sponsor if you don't want to do this.
Right.
But I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I'm just saying this is all I know. This is all I have.
This
And
will
so
work for me.
do this or go
Right.
somewhere else.
Rob said when we first started that I fired him last month because I'm almost 4 years into this, and I didn't finally realize it's like, Rob does the steps that works you through the steps same way they do the big book, right? It's hard and fast, right? And I needed that. That was my personality. If I didn't get through those steps as quickly as I got through them, it was going to be dangerous for me, right?
Yeah.
I had to do that. But as I go along in the sponsees that I've taken through there, it's like, it's time for me to go back through this stuff again. Because
And grab someone else and
grab-
see something different.
Go through the steps with someone else. Go through the steps many times.
Yes.
I've gone through the steps 7 times in the
Right.
7 years I've been sober. I didn't do it every year. It's not how it just happened to shake out that way. Do it with multiple people.
Right.
Get different perspectives.
But every time I take someone through the steps, which has been many,
right. Oh yeah.
I go through them again too.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
We all do. Yep.
Yeah.
Learn something more about
Oh,
ourselves
man.
every time. So yeah, that's those are big things. Anything like what is your with your past? What's your future look like for you?
Oh yeah, you're getting ready to graduate.
I'm getting ready to graduate in May.
In what? What are we studying, kid?
My major is called Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies.
Okay.
I don't know why they call it that, but that's what they call it. That's its name.
What moved you to New York? Is that just where
School.
studies was at?
School?
It's where I got in.
Oh. Fuck Washington.
It's good to go where you get in. Oh no, I never go back to Washington State. My parents have asked me never to step foot there.
The other question.
Fuck that weather.
The other question you said earlier that you just spoke to your pimp. Do you guys obviously still just have some kind of relationship?
I've talked to him. Sometimes there comes up like logistical stuff. It's actually what's funny is it's really with making amends because sometimes I got to get a hold of people and I don't know how to get a hold of them. And he sometimes has a better idea than I do. And he has more contact because he still live out there.
Right.
And so I have had times where I've hit him up for that. And I mean, there are other times where I want clarity about something that happened in the past. And then, his daughter is still, like.
How old is she now? She was 5.
She's like 15.
Wow.
Maybe 14. But yeah.
What about your original girlfriend?
Oh God. That's an even more complicated thing. So she continued living with my mom for a long time. And then now she doesn't. And, no, we don't. I made amends to her and I haven't spoken to her.
Okay.
Oh,
Does she still
no.
have a relationship with your mom, though, if she stayed?
Not exactly.
Oh. Okay.
Without going into detail, I don't think it ended well.
Well, it just, I came back into, this is a fun and interesting part of the story. This is kind of one of those like beautiful higher power things where, so I was in rehab and the conflict with my mom was always, you picked her over me and she became your daughter and you abandoned me. And I would always say that was the reason that we didn't have a relationship. And if you just admit that you did that, I thought she had narcissistic personality disorder because I didn't know what alcoholism was. And my mom did not drink in a problematic way until I left the picture. And so I didn't know what was going on. I was like, you are dying of selfishness. And so we didn't have a relationship. And I was very mad at her. And I always said the same thing. If you would just admit what you did, then we could have a relationship. She's like, well, I didn't do that. That was our whole thing. And I was in rehab and I got through my steps in rehab. So I was starting to make amends while I was still in the facility. I was still inpatient. And I knew I needed to reach out to my mom. I was not ready to make amends to her, but I just knew we had to, kind of open those lines of communication, let her know that I'm alive because I hadn't talked to her in a long time. And I was talking to my case manager. It was like 9:15. And I know that because they were trying to scoop me off to the next group that we were at. We were taking our little break, and then the break is over at 9:15, and you go back, and they were trying to get me to go back to it. And I told my case manager, I said, look, can you just reach out to my mom, let her know I'm alive, kind of see where things are at. She said, okay, I'll do that. So she comes to get me at like 4 p.m. and she's like kind of upset, or like something was like weird going on. I was like, is my mom here? Like, what is going on? And she brings me to this room, and she's like, called your mom, and your mom said, oh, this must be about the email that I sent. She was like, no, Madeline doesn't have any access to internet or anything like that. She didn't get your email. And then my case manager hands me a piece of paper with a printout of this email. And it is my mom saying, I did abandon you. Everything you said was true. This is my amends to you. I'm 6 months sober.
Wow.
That's a God thing right there.
And she sent that email at 9:15. It was crazy. And so I called her. I made my amends back to her. And we have had like a beautiful, perfect in the sense that, you know, as the big book says, like, you know, these things will be part of your workouts. Like, it's normal to have, you know, conflict or whatever. Like, we've had a perfect relationship.
That's awesome.
And
I love both of you, though.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And so we're shoulder to shoulder. She got sober 6 months before me. So we do this thing together, and
I love this program.
It's really beautiful.
Love this program. I love the steps. Love everything about it.
Yep.
The friends that we make here, the people that we love, even though we're not friends with them. You know what I mean? Those, I seriously.
The life beyond my wildest dreams, one of the ways that I describe it is that I have relationships today with people I don't like.
Absolutely.
And I never could have imagined that.
I love to love them.
I love them, but I don't like them.
Oh,
Right.
no. I have people that I don't love or like
Okay.
that I have relationships with because it's important to other people in my life that I have a relationship
That's
with
very
them.
true.
And I'm able to do that. And I never
Right.
could have imagined
Right.
anything
Johnny
like
and his
that.
sister.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I'm selfish and self-centered, and if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you.
Right.
But I learned
Yeah.
how to put the needs of others before my own.
Absolutely.
You know, self-sacrifice and work for others. That's what I was taught,
Yep.
and I can do that today.
And
that's
it's
a life
easier.
beyond my wildest dreams.
It's easier the more we do it, the easier it gets.
Because I know that that's my higher power's will for me to do that.
Right.
I know that.
I mean, there's people that's in my life that my wife would rather shoot, right? But there's reasons for it, and I love them for it, right? I love everybody that's in my life. I love them. Now, that being said, there's also people in the programs that I can walk up and talk to and walk right away from and be okay with it, right? And I'm sure they feel the same way about me, right? Even though I do this program as much as I can, I'm still an asshole and a prick at the end of the day, right? And I work on it.
Amen.
I work on it. I work on it hard, right? But when those things crop up, I deal with it.
Got to remove them at once.
Yep.
Page 86.
I keep working on them, and they don't happen as often as they used to. You know, praise the guys they don't. But anyways,
yeah, I can't work on it. I need God to work on it because if I'm working on it, we're fucked.
No, and you're right.
Power to work on it.
That's another question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Through all of this, where are you with your walk with your higher power or with
Yeah.
God? Or
Is it still
wherever?
Aphrodite?
I mean, yes. I mean,
So
she's the right hand.
exactly.
I mean, I say that tongue in cheek, but it may be. I don't know.
Hey, it's a good question. I remained a Hellenistic polytheist, which is somebody who believes in that pantheon of gods, until I had 2 years sober. And then I had to take a look at the fact that I didn't know. I had no idea what a higher power was.
Which is agnostic, without knowledge.
Well,
Kinda.
agnostic specifically refers to somebody who doesn't know whether there is a God or not.
Yeah.
And so you can use the term agnostic to refer to somebody who doesn't know
But you knew
what
there was
a
a
God
God. You were
is.
just okay.
I just didn't. And for me, I'm always in danger of starting another cult. I'm always this close. And so it is actually very important for me to not have a conception of what a higher power is. I can't know anything about it because once I define it, I have made it on my terms and it's not safe for me.
Right.
People are not safe if I have defined a higher power. So I don't have to know anything about what this power is. I just know I have a relationship
And
with
you're not it.
I know what I need to do on a daily basis to build that relationship and to have that power flow in and through me so that I can meet life successfully. So I don't spend time thinking about it or considering what it is because it's not safe for me.
Good point.
Yeah.
So I keep things really, really open.
Nice. Well, I'm not losing interest, but my back's getting to where I can't sit here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Madeline, it was great to meet you in Canada. See,
I do have a question. I'm so sorry.
It's your show. You pay for it.
She is a president of FFS Studios.
Yeah. How did you get invited to go to Vancouver?
Oh, yeah. I just know somebody who works for General Service, because in New York, it's right there. So
Yeah.
I just knew somebody. He wasn't on like the search committee for the people who were finding the people who spoke, but he knew the people who were, and he was like, "Oh, she's great."
But he knew your story as well.
And
But-
so he asked me if I'd be willing to do it, and I said absolutely.
Well, what a blessing that was, because I mean, there was a lot to be taken from. Larry did have a little bit of frustration on how it was and getting in and out,
It was
but
bad.
what a blessing it was.
I had at one point I was so mad I was sitting on that.
I got a couple calls.
Sitting on the second story, looking out at the bay right there, and the sun was shining. I was just pouting like a little bitch because tried to get into one. I couldn't get into it because I was full, and I was 10 minutes early. And by the time I got to this one, I had to run all the way around over to this one. By the time I got there, it was already full. And I was sitting there, and behind me was, I think it was Southwest, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't even anything I was interested in. And I was sitting there, and I was pouting. This little old lady sat next to me. She's like, "Hello." I go, "Hello." I was trying to be nice. And we got to talking about that. She goes, "I bet that meeting right behind you probably has seats that you can probably go sit in." I'm like, "Fuck." I didn't need to hear logic at that moment. She was right. There's a meeting going. Maybe it don't fit you, but it is right there. So I did. I just got up and went into any meeting I wanted to go into. It was okay, but I was in a meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just needed that from her to remind me of things ain't always going to go your way, Larry.
Yeah.
You can't
And it's
control
probably
it.
best that they don't.
Right.
That's the thing, is sometimes I can find myself saying thy will be done like I'm rolling dice. Like,
Right.
Let this work out for me. Like, thy will be done, thy will be done. It's like, no, thy will not be done. Like, this is the whole point of this, is that it's not about me getting what I want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so thankful to you guys. Thank you so much for letting me come and tell my story.
I love it. I love stories. Yeah, yours was amazing. What?
Recovery Unfiltered.
Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of Madeline, you can reach out to me and Rob. It's Recovery Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com. I will do it that way, unless Madeline, you got another way if somebody wants to reach out to you. Yeah, so reach out to us. We'll get you in touch with Madeline whichever way we can. You are an amazing person. I love the way you
I'm gonna
speak.
send my daughter out that way.
I love the way you
She
speak.
went to New York to watch she's artsy fartsy.
I love
she loves New York.
everything about how you speak, and you were the first one for me to hear "fuck" in the entire time I was there, and I was like, "Yeah, that's my girl. Go say it."
Fuck and God in the same sentence. We love it.
I say it a lot.
Did they ever give you like,
No.
"Don't say this"? No, you didn't. Okay.
No. I kept it chill. Like, I swear a lot more than I did in that.
I know.
I keep it just for the emphasis, and so but no one told me. They didn't say I had to wear anything specific. They didn't say that I had to.
That's funny.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm glad they didn't, because when you said that, it fired me up. I was like, "Fuck yeah, come on, girl."
Well, and that's the thing. Some people say like, "Oh yeah, like swearing is not, whatever. It's not like recovered or whatever." When I heard people swearing when I got sober, it's how I knew this was a place for me. It made, and I get people saying, "Hey, swearing makes me feel like unsafe or uncomfortable." It makes me feel safe and comfortable.
Yep.
So I'm just speaking to those people. I'm speaking to the people who also feel that.
God didn't put me here to speak to everybody.
No.
There's certain people here.
It took me a little while to understand that I'm going to talk the way when I first started going
better. We're getting better.
It's not only that though, Rob. When I first got into the rooms, I was told, "Oh, you can't, be careful how you say that, or be careful how you say that, or you shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't have said this." And I finally got to a point about a year sober. I was like, "Fuck you. I'm going to talk and say whatever the fuck I want. If they don't like me, then kick me the fuck out." I wasn't going to I know my character defects, but God, no, are you going to change the man I am, right? This is who I am. This is who I am. This is what makes me happy. I'm going to take into account to my character defects, and I'm trying to stop those, but this is how I talk. If you don't like that, bounce, right? Because I got a group of buddies that I hang out with right now. We all talk the same way, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We're pretty ruthless when it comes to this. It's pretty ruthless when it comes to this
God ain't
program.
removed it from me yet.
I just don't value it. I just don't think it's
care.
important. If somebody tells me specifically, "You make me feel unsafe or uncomfortable," I will accommodate them because they're coming to me directly. But just in general,
Yeah.
Right.
But that's sometimes.
I've never had anybody say that.
Anyways,
But I respect, like, when I come to a group and they say, "Hey, we don't swear here," like, I will do everything I can to not share that.
I can't
will
make
do everything
promises.
I can.
I'll do the best
The
I
word
can.
shit is gonna happen, but I can control. We can make fuck not happen, but shit is gonna happen.
And to that point, I don't believe I've ever said fuck at primary purpose.
I haven't either.
Do they have a rule against it?
No,
They're high.
That's where I got. So that's our home group.
Our home group.
Everything's at the big book, and where my sponsor's at. It's just something that
You know what? They had brought in a group, like a.
Oh, we still say it.
Yeah.
It happens. Other people say it.
People, and they're sharing, and they were very fresh in their sobriety. And this girl was rambling on and on and on and on and on. And finally, there's a woman. I've seen her because I'll go sometimes to the open meetings, and this was an open meeting on a Friday. And this lady got up and finally grabbed some paperwork and walked around the table to hand it to her. And when she came walking back, I looked at her shirt, and her shirt said, "Shut the fuck up." I was done.
That's the greatest spiritual principle of all.
Really, all she had to say was,
"That's what I was told." I was told.
I was taught.
Take the cotton out of your ears and stick it in your mouth because you don't got shit we need to hear.
In my group, we said, "What's a higher power's will for you?" And they made it very simple. They said, "Shut the fuck up and go help somebody."
Yeah.
And that's it.
Carry this message.
All right.
Carry.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Recovery Unfiltered podcast. We appreciate you being here today. If you'd like to reach out to us, please email us at recoveryunfilteredpodcast.com. We will do our best to answer all of your emails.